How we get it rolling after Warrior basketball, Krueg show style. Dan, Coach Emilio stopping by. Frank Red in the house. Ryan Smith may or may not join us in a bit. Planning on having him. We'll see if he stops by. Warriors lose a rough one in Dallas, and Steph Curry had a foul called on him in this game that was not a foul. And Golden State, dug themselves a hole. They came out. Dallas buried them early. Golden State jumped right back in it, but took a little energy to jump back in it. I think the overwhelming positive tonight, fellas, Golden State loses on the road, and they're now 2-10 away from Chase, 116-113. But if there was one, I thought overwhelming, well, maybe two overwhelming positives. One, Draymond Green with that second unit seems to be working. Golden State actually won the second quarter tonight, 30-19, and did a nice job. Really, really supporting that starting group. But I thought Jonathan Kuminga is starting to round into form. He was plus 21 tonight.
Yeah, he looked good.
14 points, 10 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 blocks, played some really good defense, only had 2 turnovers. So the Warriors lose by 3, but there's a couple positives. What'd you guys think of the game?
Go ahead, Frank.
No, your words through my ears, Larry. Jonathan Kuminga tonight looked like the player that I envisioned playing for the Golden State Warriors. Very raw, but athletically just a wonder kind. And I assume with all of the high IQ players within the Warriors organization that he would assimilate maybe quicker than he has. But I noticed something the last couple of games. He's making really quick, smart plays. And this is just a continuum tonight. I thought he was fantastic. He put the NBA on notice. And I don't know what turned the switch on, but I love the game that he played tonight. He was outstanding.
Yeah.
Welcome in, Rye. We were just talking, Rye, about the first opening thoughts on the game, and I just said that I thought Kuminga is rounding into form, and not only that, we're seeing Green with that second unit, and the Warriors are starting. They actually won the second quarter, and that second unit is actually starting to stabilize a little bit. It was a loss in the actual win-loss column. But they found a couple things going here with the way Kuminga's coming on and also the way their second unit's playing.
Yeah, I really thought, like I say, Kuminga looked great. The second unit, the intensity, DiVincenzo out there diving for loose balls, getting boards, playing up in your grill defense. It's pretty tough to beat Dallas when Luka's just going off like that as well. He was just pretty much unstoppable. He was hitting shots, guys all draped all over him. I really think the key to the Warriors, though, is you can't have Poole and Clay both having bad games. One of the two has to step up with Curry, because if both of those guys are not hitting their shots, I don't think the Warriors will win those close games. If Clay, and I'm not going to get on Clay because I think that happens in games. You just, you're going to miss some shots. Your shot's going to be off some nights. I think for the better part, Clay's going to be 40% or better at 3. He was just had a rough night. And if he is on or Poole, but two of them both having not so good shooting nights, that really puts pressure on the team.
What'd you think, Rye?
Yeah, it's a bummer they didn't win, but I've heard on podcasts Luka say, like, the guy he gets up for playing the most is Steph Curry, and I don't know if you guys saw those. They showed a graphic at one point during the game, but also it was on Twitter. Like, Luka is averaging the most points per game versus Curry than any other player versus Curry. And I know Mark Cuban also said the same thing. Like, he, gets the most excited when the Warriors and Curry come into town. So, yes, I am elated to be at Linden High School. I'm not. It's a tough loss, but ultimately, I think it's more good stuff.
A lot of good stuff.
Yeah, it's more good.
I'm not worried about
the one
him.
thing I didn't like is I didn't. Oh, go ahead. I was just gonna say I didn't like. Why are you setting up Klay Thompson on that last shot? I mean, Klay Thompson's still trying to find himself. He has good nights and bad nights. This was not a good night. He had 5 points. At this point, he was 2 of 8 and 1 of 5 from 3. And you set it up for him to take the 3 at the end. I realize he's 6'7" and he got a wide open look. He just didn't knock it down. I'm just kind of wondering, I realize career-wise he's the guy you want maybe, but I mean, is he really the dagger thrower at the end of games? I don't know. I thought I'm surprised they keep kind of forcing Klay to into all these roles based on who he is as a player when he's just trying to find who he is again post 2 massive surgeries. I don't know.
I think they were afraid getting at Curry, he might travel at the end.
Yeah.
No.
And by the way, how does Curry in a league where traveling is rampant? How does Curry get called for traveling when it's not?
Well, the actual
Curry,
travel play at the top of the key, he did actually lift his pivot foot. But everybody, if you're going to call that, you got to call just about every shot. I mean, I saw Halliburton's pass last night to the 3-point. He moved his pivot foot. You can't call that techie tack at the end. I mean, it wasn't a blatant. He did lift his pivot foot, but really,
I'm ultimately not that bummed out by that, just because it'd be one thing if the ball went in the hoop, then it'd be like, oh come on. But I mean, it was going to be a miss and going to get rebounded anyway.
Yeah, I think the thing getting back to Klay shooting the final shot is they probably assumed that they would be draped all over Steph and that they would actually get the best look if they didn't go to Steph. And
I think there's also some pressure nowadays where you don't ever know if they're going to foul or not. So it's like if you kind of have a clean look to tie the game, end of the game, take it.
This game was a weird game in a lot of fronts. I mean, Golden State, got beat at the 3-point line. That doesn't happen a whole lot. The threes weren't going, and yet they took 43 of them and made only 25%. They actually won on the glass. They won inside. If you look at it, the points in the paint, 56-42 Golden State points in the paint. They didn't miss inside. It was an amazing thing. I don't know. It's just a strange game. I mean, Dallas had a 17-point lead in this game and coughed it up. I mean, that was surprising to see. But overall, I would say, Golden State's going to struggle to beat the good and pretty good teams at home. I mean, on the road until they really, progress to a different point as a team, till they really start playing a little bit more consistent basketball. They got to shoot the ball better. I mean, Thompson 1 for 6, Poole 1 for 6, mix in DiVincenzo, who missed his 2 threes, and Draymond, who missed his 3 threes. And it's ugly. It's 11 of 43 from beyond the arc. So
another thing that's actually encouraging to me, though, is that the Warriors are going into these games playing against teams that are so amped up. It's like a playoff game to them. And
there's
the
revenge
Warriors,
for them, for sure.
The Warriors aren't at that level intensity emotionally for these regular season games. So when they meet in the playoffs, I mean, if this was a playoff game, I think the Warriors win by 10. It's just the intensity. You saw the intensity. They got back into the game in the second quarter with the second unit. To me, that's really encouraging that the second unit is starting to, come around. I mean, they really outscored Dallas in that second quarter to get them back in the game. And so Warriors keep that up. They're going to be a 50-win team. They're going to be right there, and they'll be fine.
There's 2 guys I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on.
I think Frank, did you wanted to say something?
Oh, go ahead, Frank.
I mean, just basically, I think Steve Kerr was. I mean, he wanted to win, but I think he was tinkering out there. there were various indications that he was almost being a detective for the Dallas Mavericks. I mean, as the Warriors coach, because there were some things defensively that the Warriors did in the playoffs that they didn't do tonight. Like, they really didn't extend their defensive pressure. Kuminga did a little bit. I think Kerr wanted to see how he would do. But Wiggins really wasn't totally involved, extending his defense against Luka. And I think Dallas needed to win this game. But if I'm the Warriors coach, I feel pretty good about this effort. Some of the guys who are complimentary guys on the Warriors, they were not deferential to Steph. And I like guys to be deferential to him. Draymond is all the time. So I was a little weirded out by guys kind of hunting shots tonight when, even if Steph doesn't shoot it, it should touch his hands in those pressure-packed situations. And I'm like, why are you shooting the ball? I mean, you don't use your confidence just because you pass the ball to Steph Curry. You move to an open spot, he'll give you a better shot.
And he'll get it back to you.
Absolutely. So I didn't like that.
That is something that drives me crazy. You're so on it, like, especially end of game situations, but even just like when there's a chance to kind of either climb back in or take control of the game, it's like, you can't have a possession where Steph's not touching the ball, especially like with these young. I mean, I just think back to that's also why GP2 was so damn effective with this unit. It's like, in my mind, I just think back to the finals when he had that, he had the opportunity for the three, and then he sets the pick and passes it to Curry. Like, everyone kind of has to like learn that. That's part of being on the team. Maybe Clay doesn't have to. Clay can fire, but everybody else should be deferential.
Yeah, no question. I mean, it's not about getting a good shot. It's about getting a great shot. And as things start to, get more serious, they'll get more focused and determined on getting Steph a higher percentage of those looks. They're in kind of a weird vibe mode right now, don't you think, guys? I mean, it's like they kind of got off to a slow start. They've kind of found some things that will work for them. Everybody just seems a little tenuous and a little like not quite going at full speed yet. It just kind of shows how, different approaches to a basketball season. I think Kerr is a coach who kind of lets the season come to him. He sees what he's got. He kind of analyzes, and then, they're not operating at full tilt in November or December. I mean, there have been great starts where they've gotten off to great starts, but even so, you felt like the whole thing was kind of still coming together. This year with new faces and asking the young guys to step up and trying to figure out, what is Klay Thompson, what is Draymond Green, what is Jordan Poole, night after night after night. It's a weird mix. I'll tell you though, watching Dallas from afar, two guys that I want to get your guys' thoughts on. One, I just would love to see Tim Hardaway's kid with the Warriors someday. I love the way he plays. I think he's, he's got a little bit more range than you think. He's a little stronger than you think. He's a little longer than you think. I mean, Tim Hardaway would be Tim Hardaway's kid would make a real nice Warrior someday if they can ever make it happen. And then, Luka is just such an interesting player to watch. And I'm just kind of wondering who you guys think he most, compares to in history. I mean, 41 tonight, 12 assists, 12 rebounds, 4 steals. He had a block. He did turn it over 5 times. The ball was in his hands all night. He was plus 22. But you know what I'm saying? This plays with like a pace that's so unique.
A little bit of Larry Bird in him.
You wouldn't think that it would translate.
It's weird. It's like he has more. Yeah. He's way more on the ball, and he kind of weaves in and out, and he kind of beats you off the dribble, but then kind of willingly, steps back and like willingly extends the range when he could beat you. And it's all about
strong player too, like
very strong, very confident.
Sorry,
Frank,
Rod.
What do you see? What do you guys see?
Well, I mean, no, I was going to make a joke because, he has some Rick Barry in him also. Sorry, Rod.
Oh, but, like I'm not going to know Rick Barry?
Well, no. We actually saw Rick Barry. So.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
But I mean, there was no player in the history of the NBA who was more confident with the ball in his hand than Rick Barry. And Rick Barry didn't have the ball handling skills. And I don't think the shot making ability that Luka had. But when he hit but when he took his shots, he made most of them. And no matter how good a defensive player you were going to have a tough time stopping Rick Barry from taking his shot. So he kind of has an attitude of a Rick Barry to me as well.
It's funny you say Rick, because the one thing I do think he shares in common with Rick is both Rick and Luka get an insane number of, they may contort their body and move left and right, but when it comes time to rise and shoot, everything's squared towards the bucket. Right. You don't see Luka take a bunch of weird angled shots, and Rick was really militant about squaring up his shoulders to get a good look, especially in that mid range from the elbow. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, he's an interesting guy, because I mean, who plays with that kind of pace?
I just wonder what he's going to.
Reminds me a little bit of James Harden.
That's what my comparison was going to be like. I don't really know how it all breaks down percentage wise, but it seems like a little bit of Bird, a little bit of LeBron, a little bit of Harden, and I can't. He's a very interesting case. Like maybe he's kind of like a Justin Herbert of the NFL. Like he can make every single play, but he's still not quite winning at the clip you'd want him to. But my question with Luka is like I think a lot of people are quick to say, oh, look at all the assists. He makes everyone better. There's certain players he definitely makes better. The guys that can really just are cool with standing in the corner and shooting threes and are going to be confident with it. But I do think that he kind of limits some other guys on the team. Oh, crap. Sorry, guys.
33, 8, and 8 is what Luka averages.
So my big question is like, what are the guys that are going to surround him if he's to make a championship run? Like, what kind of teammates does he need? Because it seemed a little like the LeBron thing where it's like, or Harden, like, he has to have the ball, so he's going to suck some of the oxygen out of the room. He's not a great defender, but has to be some mix, right?
Yeah, there's got to be a better mix, I think, because there's got to be more, guys that can really penetrate, get to the hoop, probably more. I will say this, when I was watching them and they were talking tonight, and I was listening to the broadcast, talking about Curry and how amazing he is at 34. And then they were saying Luka 23. I thought to myself, is Luka going to age well? Because his body type will slow down when he gets to 30. And if he doesn't get in better shape, I mean, really put some muscle on and some real he works out with Steph, okay, in the Bay Area a lot. They work out together. If he doesn't really get more as he gets older, like Steph, where he gets really toned and physically in shape, I think by the time he hits 30, he's going to start to wear out. He just doesn't.
Danny, that's 7 years.
I know.
Yeah,
but he's doing all this.
I mean,
he's remarkable
who knows what's
at 23. But I'm
the
saying long term,
might not be in existence in 7 years.
Hey, as Kyle said, who knows if we're going to be around tomorrow, right?
Right.
But I don't know. I'm just thinking.
He's 23. That's
exactly
the one thing. It's hard to believe he's 23 when you look at his build. He definitely looks like a guy who's 25 or 26.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe check that birth certificate.
Let me say this about Luka. He needs another player on his team almost as good as he is. He's not playing with another all-star. It's like, from a schematic standpoint, again, Steve Kerr is looking at this Dallas team and he's saying to himself, they haven't changed much from last year. Now, if this is a playoff situation, you know what Kerr's going to do as soon as he gets past half court? He's going to run two guys at him. And he's going to extend his defense from baseline to baseline. And you can take the ball out of his hands. Take the ball out of Steph's hand, he's going to run around the court and replace and get an open shot. So Dallas, from a management standpoint, has to continue to get better players that have an assortment of skills that complement Luka. They haven't done that. So, he's a talented guy, but unless he gets another player as good as he is, almost, they're going to have fun in the playoffs, but I can't see him win the championship.
That's a great point.
Brent.
That is a great
really
point.
Good point.
I would say, look at that team he's on right now. There was not one other guy on their entire team who had more than 2 assists all night. I think Dallas right now is somewhat easy to defend in that if you can force the ball out of Luka's hands, you're right, Frank. They don't have a good passer on this team that can get him the ball back. If he played with a Tyrese Halliburton, if he played with
even
somebody,
Brunson last year was like a big help.
Yeah, I mean, anybody who can recycle the ball back to him. I mean, they got some nice players on this team. Dorian Finney-Smith's not a passer. Hardaway's got some strengths, but I don't think of him as a passer. Dwight Powell, Dinwiddie, Kleber, Bertans, Bullock. These are shooters and role players, but none of these guys' role is really a top tier passer. No. So yeah, they could use somebody else,
maybe like a Devin
to cycle
Booker.
The ball back to Luka.
Oh, Devin Booker. Oh yeah, how about that?
I'm trying to think of like even amongst like the kind of elite guys that could team up with him. I just don't know. There's a lot of guys that wouldn't be happy playing with next to him.
Well, he has to humble himself. I mean, he has to be the guy to say, listen, I don't have to be 1A. I can be 1B some nights. So the onus is going to be on Luka to really convince other talented players that he's fun to play with. Because watching him from afar, you go, wow, this guy's really talented, but not necessarily fun to play with if you're a really talented guy.
What do you think of Kemba coming into the mix?
Nah, Kemba ain't it.
He's a spot shooter.
I also think Luka has a little bit of the LeBron disease where people will love him so much, especially in Dallas, because there's so much to love. But then, like, the excuses are always going to be like, oh, he doesn't have enough help, whatever. And it's like, that always kind of sucks. Like, that just seems like it's a bad recipe. But I'll say this about Luka. If you were to say, all right, you have like 4, let's say, average to below average players on the team, and you can just draft one all-star to like bring them into relevancy. I think in terms of being a floor raiser, he might be as good as it gets, but I just don't know how if he's really going to be able to get him to that next level. But he can play with scrubs.
The problem I see with Luka though is I'm thinking who would a Ben Simmons be good with him? The Luka needs the ball. He doesn't move. He doesn't move like Curry running around the court. So he has to have the ball. What's he going to do if he's just standing out there on the wing?
Was he a point guard in Barcelona? That's what.
He always had the
played
ball.
with older guys.
Always had the ball. Well, because Curry, think about Curry. Curry
I don't
had
know how
that
you're
point
gonna
guard
fit
at
with him.
Davidson that played. He was the point guard, and Curry had to learn how to play off the ball.
Yeah, but Luka's got to move if he's going to play off the ball, and he doesn't move. He stands.
I totally agree, Dan.
Yeah, I don't know how you team up a guy with Luka, because the difference between him and LeBron is LeBron could just.
He's a way better shooter than LeBron.
Well, he's a better shooter than LeBron, but LeBron could take over down low. He could drive to the hoop, get his shot. Luka can't always get his shot without, pump fake. And if you don't go for that pump fake every time, like Kuminga one time, he didn't fall for it. And if you don't fall for that pump fake and you clog up the passing lanes, he's kind of stuck down there because he's not a big jumper.
Well, he also gets tired out. I mean,
exactly.
You can tell he plays slower than I think than is ideal, because he's just trying to get himself through the games. I mean, I think Danny's right. I think he's carrying, 10, 12 pounds of extra weight that probably doesn't serve him well at this point. And it would be interesting to see if he gets serious about his body. But, I just think you got to make him work. And since he doesn't have anybody who can get him the ball, it's like he doesn't. It's not a team that, it's like he's great, and if you took him away, they'd be in the lottery. I mean, the rest of these guys are they're just okay.
He's a top 5 player, no doubt. I'm not. I'm just saying, as a team, I don't see anybody. I don't see Dallas as a threat because, as we've talked about, they don't have anybody else that can help carry the load for him. If this was a playoff game, as Frank said, they would be, as soon as they came over half court, they'd be trapping him, double teaming him. They would run him. Guys who were defending him would be running in circles just to wear him out. And I thought he would come back in better shape after the championship series last year in the conference finals. I thought, oh, Luka, he was dying in the fourth quarter.
I mean,
I thought, he's going to get
to be
better
fair,
shape.
he's still a kid, and I feel like, you're 23 years old and you roll into the league and immediately start averaging like a 30-point triple-double. Like, he's probably like, okay, I mean, I get that I have to work really hard in the offseason, but also, I don't know, I'm pretty good at it. I mean,
that's why there's nobody like Curry.
Well, and I wonder what his
Nobody
ceiling
like
is
Curry.
ultimately, because he was so good right away, and I it's just like, is this kind of the level he's going to play at?
I think so.
Yeah,
I do. That's why I say
with
when he
maybe
gets
the
older,
upside
I think
of
he goes,
if he gets a little older, a little savvier mentally, in a little better shape, maybe.
Now, the one thing I think that they could do, they could be smarter with the basketball because they turn the ball over a lot. And, the one thing that, they made to the Western Conference Finals last year because he is a shot maker in the half court late in games. I can conceivably see Dallas and the Warriors being the two teams left again this year. But in terms of getting to the point where he's going to win a championship, he just has to have better players. And I'm not convinced that he can't relearn some things that he should have known now, i.e. moving without the basketball. He's been allowed to play that way for his entire career. And yes, again, this goes back to humbling himself to be better. He has to put the ball in other people's hands. He's not doing that right now.
I mean, they're if they're one of the last teams standing, it's going to be another. I mean, Golden State will be standing there with a big smile on their face. They don't have a lot offensively around Luka. I mean, Dinwiddie got thrown out tonight. I guess he's one of their main scorers. Tim Hardaway, they didn't even have Hardaway. It's amazing that so many people picked Dallas against Golden State last year in the playoffs when it was pretty much this exact same team, except they didn't have Tim Hardaway.
Right.
And it's
Brunson was playing. Remember when Luka went out
was
and
playing
Brunson
well,
played
but I
pretty
mean,
well.
still, people were like Mavericks in 5.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah,
what?
that's crazy. That was,
I mean, that was,
ridiculous.
people got a little crazy. Christian Wood's a good player too. That he had a bad night tonight, 2 of 12, took 5 threes, missed them all. But I mean, when he's going good, they look a lot better as well. Christian Wood's got some talent. What do you think about Golden State in the early going, guys? As far as the last 3 games, they've seemed to find themselves. What do you guys think of the adjustment with Green on the second unit? He seems to be directing traffic tonight. You look at the way it went. I mean, the second unit did a pretty nice job. And Green impacted that thing. It was the fourth quarter. I believe there was a 13-4 run in the early fourth quarter by that second unit. What do you guys think of Green and Kerr's adjustment to put him there?
I think it's fantastic. Absolutely. A great move. And you got Wiggins out there as well. And with Kuminga, I mean, you got athleticism, you got defense, and you got Poole and Wiggins for scoring. And Kuminga's, a threat to either, do his spin move or
DiVincenzo, Lamb.
DiVincenzo, yeah. I really like the second unit. They've got their 10 deep now, and they can even go 11 if they need to.
I think that smart players teach other players how to play the game of basketball. And if Draymond is on the court with the second unit, they're smarter. I didn't realize – I love Dante since he was at Villanova. But, Dan, you made a great point about 3 weeks ago talking about the impact that Dante would have on this team when he came back from his injury. And I was hoping that was the case, but I didn't see that the way that you did. He's been wonderful from the neck up. He's a smart player defensively and offensively. So Steve Kerr's a tinkerer, and he's a systems guy. This was a brilliant move, and it might have saved their season, to be quite honest with you, because they look pretty solid, and I would assume they would only get better.
Yeah. Kuminga, guys, 8 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 block. He had a great game on Sunday. 14, 10, 2 blocks, 1 assist. He's put up some good numbers, but I just love how comfortable he looks. And I think a lot of people felt like, they made it sound almost like, oh, this guy can't play. And he's almost like a natural player that, He's made to play the NBA game. He can go up and down. He can do a lot of things. He can play a small ball 5, and he plays it comfortably, strong. I love Jonathan Kuminga's potential. To me, now that I've watched these guys a little bit, I would say Kuminga to me is the guy that I'm keeping. And, I'm open-minded to moving Wiseman or Moody. But I'm pretty convinced that Kuminga can man a number of different roles on a championship caliber team. And he just, to me, seems like once you can settle into a role with him, he's just going to take off and get to a whole nother level than what we've seen. Give me your guys' thoughts on what we've seen the last couple of games from Kuminga.
Yeah, I mean, Kuminga seems like he's I mean, I like what you're saying, Larry. It seems like he's kind of the one that's emerging, and I guess I'm a little confused. I understand the Wiseman thing. I'm still a little confused why Moody hasn't been out there more. Like, it's getting to a point where, like, it's almost like just Kerr, because by all accounts, Moody was the more kind of NBA ready guy, and you'd think, like, if Kerr's trying to set an example, he'd be the one who he lets out there. But
where would you put him though, Ryan? Who would you take off? I'd
just get him in the rotation. I mean, I'd put him in.
But you can't have an 11, 12-man rotation, though, really.
I mean,
I would play him instead of 16 minutes for Anthony Lamb.
Yeah, why not?
I think Lamb does some different things because he's more versatile defensively. He can switch.
I mean, I'd give
2
him
through 5, really.
I'd give him, Kuminga had 26 minutes. I'd give him 6 of Kuminga's minutes. I'd give him 8 of Lamb's minutes. I'd probably give him 2 of Jeff Green's minutes. Yeah, I mean, it's just like, do you want to? It goes back to, like, are we trying to develop Anthony Lamb, or are we trying to develop Moses Moody? Because Moses Moody isn't in the G League, so, like, he's got to get out there. I mean, but it shows that Kuminga must be doing a great job in practice, and he clearly is. He's more intentional with the way he plays this year, I would say.
I mean, the one thing about Kuminga is you got to have somebody who rebounds out of his area, and somebody with a little bit of quickness to a loose ball.
Well, I feel like Moody has that too with those long arms.
Peyton. No, I know, but I mean, as far as Kuminga's just, I think, easily far and away their best athlete. So Peyton was that last year. They really missed that athleticism on the balls that, deep threes off the rim. He can rebound outside of his area. And so that's what I think you got to have that. I think that's what Kuminga is giving them. He's, 10 boards tonight, 7 on the defensive glass, a couple block shots. So it gives you a little bit of more rebounding. If you're going to struggle offensively, man, it's sure nice to be, they won on the glass by 20 tonight, or by 20, by 11.
Ryan, you mentioned giving away some of those minutes of a few of Kuminga's, a few of Lamb, Green, and DiVincenzo. You didn't mention Poole. I think I would give some of Poole's minutes to Moody, because Poole out there, plus minus, isn't doing the greatest at times when he's not hitting. He's more of a liability on defense. I think Moody probably is better defensively than Poole. And, maybe some of those minutes just give Jordan a little breather and get Moody out there, because Moody can hit the 3.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't have a problem with Moody not playing right now, because I think that they're sold on Moody. They like him, and I think that they know he's going to be a part of their future.
right.
One key component this year, which is a good thing, that has affected Moody, the Warriors have not had a lot of injuries this year in the backcourt. So there's a lot of minutes there that Clay, Poole, Steph, DiVincenzo, all these guys have to play. So the young guys kind of lost right now in terms of playing time. But I think that Steve Kerr and the rest of their coaching staff and the organization is sold on Moody being a part. So I'm sure they're talking to him in practice saying, listen, your time is going to come. Unfortunately, injuries do happen. Be ready when you have your opportunity. So right now, I'm not overly concerned with him not playing. As Larry spoke to, Kuminga is really the guy who's showing a multitude of roles that he can play with this team that leads to winning. And I think that that's the most important thing right now.
Stephen J says, without checking the score, this show makes it seem like the Warriors won. I mean, I don't know. I mean, to me, wins and losses, it's NBA regular season. We're 20 games in. They're 10 and the Warriors are 500. They're 11-11. Dallas is 10-10. I don't know. I mean, to me, it's NBA basketball. The Warriors are in it to win championships. So how do you win a championship? You win a championship by bringing everybody along, developing as you go, developing kind of organically and naturally. And it also has to all jive with everybody's personality, right? So then you have to get an ego. So you have to bring the whole team along. So I don't know. I'm not in the business to be hypercritical of the Warriors on November 29th, win or lose, just simply because, I mean, the old, it just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter until May. I mean, you win a championship in May and in June, and that's months from now.
Plus, they got three winnable games.
What's that?
They got 3 winnable games coming up, also. So
yeah, I mean, to me, it's much more important that they just kind of, figure out what, I mean, like you're encouraged, Frank, that even though Moody didn't play, I'm more frustrated by that because I'm like, hey, man, he's a 19-year-old kid. Why is he not playing over Jermichael Green and Lamb, guys who are two-way players? I kind of agree with your assessment that they like him and that it's just a matter of his time will come. Mm-hmm. So, you know what I'm saying? Like we could get all exercised about it, and I think he should be playing. And I agree with Ryan. I mean, the one thing Wiseman's got is Wiseman's getting run in the G League, and now Kuminga's getting run in the NBA. So I'd be more happy. I really don't care if win or lose these early season games. I want to see Moody, Kuminga, and Wiseman get run and develop. And I think they just, to me, I look at this box score and it's a missed opportunity to develop a young player over, giving minutes to Lamb and Jermichael Green, who are relative nobodies, and you still lost the game. One thing if you say, well, we didn't develop Moses, but we won, and it's pro sports, and we got to win a few games. Okay, that's one thing. But tonight, he's DNP coach's decision, and guys who, or nobodies are playing in front of him, and you lost the game.
I'd push back a little bit on that, Larry, just because.
Wait, Dan, before you go, Larry, I would maybe try refreshing your browser or double checking your connection because you're a little bit sounding like a little robot-y.
Yeah, you're also a little frozen. You don't have a clear picture.
I don't have a clear picture.
No, you got it.
Right, I'll reboot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where I would come in on that with Moody, I think you got to win games right now in this Western Conference because there's a lot of everybody stacked in there, and you don't want to go in finish 7 through 10. Anything can happen in a short series, a one game. You want to get in the top 6, and so I think the fact that these games are important now. You're past 25% through the season. They're what, 11-11, so they're 40. They're 22 games in an 82 game schedule.
Gonna keep saying it. Boston was 500 at the All-Star break.
Yeah, I understand, but you don't ever want to just play with games. You never know if Curry's out for a month. You got to win these games at this point. The first 10 games, yeah. But now you're into a part of the season. You just need to put wins together because you want to finish in that top 6. And
I agree with you. First of all, the NBA is better this year than they were last year. So, you can't really look at the schedule and go, oh, yeah, but we got a chance to win 5 or 6 games here. Like I'm talking about the next 3 games. Any of those teams can beat the Warriors. So, and I also think that winning is very important to Joe Lacob. So, there are other conversations that we're not privy to that relate to business on a day-to-day basis. And I think Kerr and his coaches and the general manager and everybody associated is aware of that dynamic. So I would agree with Dan. You have to develop all these young players, and at the same time, winning is important, even in November.
Yeah, and I also think that somebody said earlier, you guys are acting like the Warriors won. I think what we're just saying is we're encouraged by the fact that they got down by 17 early. They got back into the game. It was on the road against, the Western Conference Finals opponent that you just obliterated pretty much in a gentleman's sweep. And you were playing against them. They were sky high. And you went there on their court and fought them. And, you didn't come up with the win. I do think they could have. I think what happened in this loss tonight, they got a little three happy at the end of the game and started doing some bad habits, what they did a couple weeks ago when they were just, as Kerr called it, Drew League ball. They were just coming down and firing instead of moving the ball around and getting the shots, because what brought them back, the comeback, was, ball movement. Mm-hmm. And they got away from it. And I think had they driven to the hoop a little more in that last 5-6 minutes, even Curry's 3-point shot, to take the lead where he got called traveling, I thought he had a clear shot to take it to the hoop, and maybe tie the game. I think they just got to go back to what they were doing the previous 5-6 games and move that ball around. And they lost that part of themselves, I think, late in the game.
All right, I am back. How's the connection? Any better?
Much clearer.
Yeah, looking great.
Much clearer?
Actually, it looked a little better the other way where we couldn't see you. But
yeah, exactly. It's funny. I'm reading here in the chat. People are like, Sacramento screwed up when they passed on Luka for Bagley. And it's amazing how just one bad decision will, set you back. Here it is. Vlade whiffing on Luka set the Kings back 5 years. Frank, no question about it. I mean, Sacramento's playing well now, but, man, going for Bagley, and then Bagley, what happened to Bagley and Sac? It's like his dad got involved. He kept hurting his foot. It seemed like, and why the one thing I'll never get is why Vlade, who was like super close with like Luka's people, would pass on Luka. Just because he wanted to keep the ball in Fox's hands. What a misread. How good would Sacramento be right now if they had Luka and Fox?
They'd be a lot better, that's for sure. But you know what, though? Philosophically, I knew from the start that Luka would be great in Dallas because they have a strong owner. Sacramento does not have a strong owner. This is a guy who said that if he was coaching, he would put 4 guys down the offensive end and put 1 defensive player down there. So, he said that on 60 Minutes. Now I'm kind of making a joke.
He said it wasn't it like his daughter thought it was her idea or something?
Yeah, so I'm making a joke about the guy. He's a great guy. But here's the deal. We don't know who made the final call, and Luka kind of has a prickly personality. And I don't know how that would play with all of his other teammates. Mark Cuban set that thing up for it to work in Dallas, and so did Donnie Nelson Jr. and everybody associated. So Luka would be an all-star caliber player because that's what he is. But I don't know if it would have been as glorious in Sacramento as it was, as it is in Dallas. With regards to Bagley, man, anytime your parent is talking to the media when you are a professional athlete, bad things are going to happen. So,
right.
I feel sorry for the kid because he's starting to kind of develop now in Detroit, but he made all of the wrong moves in Sacramento, and it was horrible for everybody. Horrible for him. He probably lost about $60-70 million that he'll never get back. And Sacramento obviously took the wrong player. So it was a fiasco for everybody involved.
Yep, no question. Frank, now we got you here. What'd you think of the Niners win over the Cardinals? Niners win over the Cardinals. Niners win over the Saints over the weekend.
I'm a Jimmy G guy, man. I love it. I love the way this guy is playing football. From the neck up, I don't know. I mean, did he take like a speed reading class of how to play quarterback or something? Because he's a different guy. I mean, old Jimmy G would have probably thrown about 2 picks, and the 49ers would have lost 16-14. So I think he recognized that, this organization is in my hands, and I can't screw it up. And he's playing that way. So, I mean, the 49ers, if I'm looking at all of the teams, I would pick them number 2 behind KC, and I think that they would beat KC if they had a matchup. So I love how this team is playing football. I love it. And Mitchell's going to come back in the playoffs. They'll be even better.
I love it, Frank. You got me fired up. I got my Jimmy G hat on now. Best investment I ever made, huh? At
PureMoney.com.
It's a little tall.
It's a little tall, yeah. $8 hat out at the Giants game.
It does look like the bill is the kind of bill that if you squeeze it, it would quack.
Yeah, it is kind of one of those. It is a Bay Area baller type hat. Yeah.
Look at we're joined by Jesper Parnovic.
Yeah. So, hey, Frank, we've all had some fun and talked about, the big. Everybody's kind of checking Twitter every hour or so, looking to see if there's any Aaron Judge news. Giants fans, you read it in the chat. People are any Judge news. I see tweets to Larry. Hey, Larry, any updates? Like we all have, backhand knowledge what's going on. We're in with the negotiations and everything, team. But have you heard anything, or as far as your any contacts,
give sources? Give any sources,
or what's your overall thought on the whole process?
Listen, San Francisco is a wonderful city with a wonderful fan base. I'm from New York, and I don't know anybody who's come to the Bay Area that didn't fall in love with the place. He's from Fresno, so he already knows. My whole thing with the Giants, and it appears they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, make a legitimate run at the guy. That's all I want. Make a run at him. Make him the highest paid player in baseball over a 5-6 year period, and just make a run. I mean, it isn't like they don't know how to make money. They know how to make money. So as long as they make a run, and it appears that they're making a legitimate run at this guy, I am comfortable. If he wants to go back to New York or anywhere else, but show the Giant fans that you care and you want to win, and you don't want to, bow your knee against the Dodgers and maybe we can do this. So I get the sense that they're making a legitimate run, and that's all I wanted to see. The idea of him knocking baseballs out into the ocean and hitting that Coke bottle gets me excited. I might even buy a ticket, man. That'd be awesome.
Frank, you got to see what we're doing. We're doing our part to try and bring Judge to the Bay.
Oh, I know you are.
Judge, you need to come home, bro.
Oh, wait.
I love this.
This is from the Niner locker room.
Really?
You are right now.
Yeah.
I bet you it's not like this. So, come get some of this Bay love, man. The fans out here are beautiful. They love up on everyone. So, come on out.
Tell the camera why Aaron Judge ought to come to San Francisco.
Because the weather is amazing, and we got us, Golden State, and I think if you sign with the Giants, those are 3 potential championship teams right there. I don't know. It sounds like a pretty nice bet to me, but I love San Fran. I've only been here for a couple months, and one thing I know is the weather is always awesome, so can't go wrong with that.
It's warm.
It is warm.
And it's almost December, and it's warm. So I'll tell you that. I love California. From Oregon, I was raised in the rain, so, being in sunshine most of the year, I don't get much better than that for sure.
And because the Bay is where it's at. The Bay we like to play.
There you go.
Yo, fellas, I'm loving this.
Is that great? Is that great?
Is awesome. Because it's true. That's why it's awesome. It's absolutely true. So,
What year did you leave New York and come to the Bay?
Shoes. 90?
90?
Yeah.
And what was your first thought when you were out here? Were you like you didn't like it at first and it grew on you, or what part of New York did you miss when you got out here?
I missed every part of New York because that was my home.
Yeah.
But, were you in what borough were you in?
No. Fordham is in the Bronx, but I grew up on Long Island. But here's the deal.
Long Island. Okay.
Here's the deal. I had come out here because we played in Stanford's tournament. So, like I knew kind of the Bay Area and San Francisco, and I had been out here several times. But, I'm involved in hip hop music also. And I was kind of a part of the Bay Area's burgeoning hip hop scene. It was multicultural. Again, I don't know anybody who's come to the Bay Area that didn't like it.
Hey, the Giants actually had E40 in on the deal with Judge.
Yeah. So, listen,
did they?
Yeah, they did. They have E40 talking to him.
Frank, did you ever cross paths? Did you ever cross paths with Tupac?
Only from I was in the same environment that he was in because
when was he with Digital Underground? Was that like
yeah. He was a roadie. He was a roadie for Digital Underground, and yeah, man. I mean, the thing about Tupac that even impressed me at that point was he was a hell of a roadie, man. This guy was working his ass off, Even at that young age, he was working and doing his job well and waiting for his opportunity. And, when it came, he obviously took over the world. But, he was a very, very complimentary part of that Digital Underground scene, and he played his role really, really well.
What did you think of the Biggie movie? Did you see it?
I did. I'm a writer. I've written the screenplay, and it was a good story. Whether or not that was a real story, I really don't know. Jada Pinkett has come out and said that there were some, discrepancies in that script, but I actually liked the story. I don't know if that was the real story, but I did like the movie. I thought it was entertaining.
That's the problem with those kind of things. Like if you're too close to it, or like you really knew what was happening, then it's kind of hard to enjoy it because you're just constantly pointing out the inconsistencies. But still, like those are always great.
Frank, who are your favorite old school and new school rappers? Who do you if I say to you, I mean, like, where does Too Short, who's one of my favorites because he's a Bay guy, but who are your favorites?
My favorites are Melly Mel. I mean, he's a legend. Nas, Jay-Z. Nas is probably my favorite rapper because of the detail and the stories. Too Short is a legend because, he invented that style of rap. How many people can say that they invented a style of rap that everybody uses? He's rapped with so many different people. He's been on songs with Biggie Smalls. He's been on songs with Lil Kim. E40. So nothing but respect to Too Short. He's made a lot of songs I like, but I really, really respect him more for what he's done for the culture and what he's done for hip hop.
How do you feel when you're listening back to like Illmatic or something, and you're just like, I'm not quite sure how old you are now, but it's like, okay, Nas wrote this when he was like 17 years old. Is that just like weird? Trip you out?
It is weird, but when you look at the landscape of what he had to consume as a lyrical genius, I mean, he just happens to be a regular guy. But this guy is Edgar Allan Poe, man. I mean, any of the great artists in the history of our nation, Nas is in that category. I know it's hard for people to quite understand that, but I mean, he's a genius in terms of taking a picture in his mind of what's going on in society and formulating it lyrically in a poetic and beautiful way that no one else can do. So I'm surprised, but not overly surprised, because he established that level of excellence early on in his career. And as a rapper myself, I understand what good writing is all about. I'm a good writer. I'm a very good writer. Can I spit it the way that some of the other guys can? Maybe, maybe not. But I am a good writer. So once you establish yourself on that level to use detail and analogies and all of the wonderful things that rappers do, you kind of expect it from those guys.
It's so great to have Frank and Dan, who's of course the face of Arizona rap, and to have them both with us here on the Krueg Show.
Yeah, we should do it.
Del Boca Vista. There's a lot of freestyling going on there.
Yeah, there is a lot of jamming going down
wait, I do have to hear, Frank. What about like the nowadays guys that you listen to? Did you see the Metro Boomin's like? he's like trailer video he put out that was like the highest production quality. I tweeted it. It had like Morgan Freeman in it.
Well,
You tweeted it. You
yeah.
tweeted it. Oh,
I did
wow.
tweet it.
I actually read about it today. I haven't seen it yet, but you know what, man? I mean, I give a lot of these cats a lot of credit because they are expressing their vision of hip hop, and once the record companies kind of got a hold of it, the value system changed. Music became more important or more attractive to like the marketplace. So I think there's an emphasis on music. There's a lot of quality producers, and there's some rappers also that I dig. You know what I'm saying? That I listen to. So
you got some fans that want to hear some stuff. Too Much says drop some bars, Frank.
Listen, I can do it if you want me to.
Damn, wait. We might have to pull up like an instrumental or something.
I mean, man, I'm a great rapper.
I want to hear something.
Well, Dan's also a great rapper. Why don't you guys do a little duet?
I think he's a little.
Dan, this is HOA Karen's dropping bars down here on the right.
No, let's hear some, Frank. I want to hear.
It's funny, Frank.
You got an original,
when the Niners had Tavares Gooden, the linebacker, the former Raven, and I was talking to a buddy of mine who did the Raven pre and post game show, and he's like, get Tavares to do a little freestyle post game. He's really good. So I went up to him. I'm like, hey, my buddy in Baltimore says that you're great on freestyle. And I go, can you give us a little something? He goes off and the guys all around him got into it. And he goes off for about a minute and a half. And it was long. I couldn't believe it. And he's just, making it up as he goes. And I mean, it was good. It was really good. We put it on the radio. It was phenomenal. I mean, that's a talent.
Well, I almost feel compelled like I got to do something now.
We can make a good short of that. We can make a good on the Krueg show.
Do you have a beat that you want me to put on, like an instrumental you have?
No, just check this out.
All right, here we go. Here we go. Let's move this. Let's all move aside.
Center street.
You ready?
Go.
All right.
Yeah.
For what I don't have, you won't hear me complaining. Like a magnifying glass, I zoom in on the finer things. If I let up all my tears, will it protect me from my fears? Wash the pain away so I can see clear. Like old songs from the past, I'm discovering new things about myself. Like being okay when I have it all without the compromise. Mentally relaxed, emotionally ready to bear. I could write a novel from one man's stare. You want to find the truth? Look beneath the surface. Everybody has talent. You need to find your purpose. I wish I was a handyman, could fix everything. Swooping like a superhero when someone's in pain. My journey may not be embraced because I choose to be different. No matter how much I explain to some, it won't make sense. When someone laughs at you, they're probably crying inside. Instead of being what they want to be, they chose to run and hide. Salute to anybody that took the time to listen to just one of them. I wrote 1,000 rhymes.
Nice. Hey. That is really good. That's going to be hard for Danny to top. Could you imagine if Danny could top that? That'd be something great. That was good, Frank. Now, is that how? I mean, do you got some of that? Like, you've been working on some of that, or how freestyle is that?
No, that's actually not a freestyle. So that's some stuff I'm working on. Over the past 18 months, I've put out 3 songs. So if you go to you just look up Frank Red on YouTube, you'll find 1 or 3 of my songs. I got a song called Make You Feel that's really, really dope. I Can Do Anything, Could Have Been Me. I'm a real artist, and the music business is tied to business. It isn't necessarily about the artistry. So I'm fortunate that I can make music that I'm proud of and I love, and I don't have to make money. I would love to make money, but I'm willing to take that slow ride and that slow burn and let people kind of know about what I do as an artist, as opposed to going out and like promoting myself and paying a bunch of money that I don't have. Maybe doing some things that's not really aligned to my sensibilities. So, but I am a real artist, and I think that's the message I want to convey to people. And I think that's what they get when they hear my music.
What did you think of Biggie? And Rye asked you about Tupac. We never asked you about Biggie. You're probably more of a Biggie fan, no?
I respected both of those guys, man. Tupac and Biggie. I mean, he was from Brooklyn. Man, it's just a maestro, just a guy who may or may not have had, the most formal education, but his vocabulary and his flow was outstanding. He's a Hall of Famer as far as I'm concerned. So I loved his storytelling ability. That's a common theme. Most of the great rappers tend to tell exquisite stories. You look at Tupac, Dear Mama, Brenda's Got a Baby, all of these great narratives that we as consumers just become galvanized by. And Biggie was one of those guys who told phenomenal stories. I wish he was still here.
Yeah. We asked Ryan, when we went into the locker room a couple weeks ago, we got into asking guys who were their favorite artists, right? And who do you remember who?
A lot of people said Future.
Yeah, Future. Got a lot of love, didn't he?
Oh shoot, I'm trying to forget the other guy. Sort of like a heavy set.
Did DaBaby get some mentions?
Some DaBaby. There's one other guy, but I nodded as if I knew who it was, but I didn't. And it's some dude. I looked him up after. He's kind of like a heavy set dude. I don't know. Can't remember. But
it is interesting because so many of the hip hop community, the players are really obviously a lot of them into hip hop. You know what's really cool too, Frank, is like if you go to practice now, they basically just play hip hop music really, really, really loud.
Yeah.
And it's funny because it's like people, it does get the players going and juiced, and you get a high energy practice, and they like it. But it's like a dual use.
Oh, this is who it was. Rod
out.
Wave. That's who it was.
Who was?
Aaron Banks was really liked Rod Wave.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he said, a couple people said Rod Wave.
Yeah, a couple of people.
But it also drowns out all the swearing from the football coaches.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Nobody can hear Chris Cochera coach. But if you didn't have the music going really, really loud, it would just be like there'd be, everybody in there be writing things down. Chris Cochera dropped 19 F-bombs,
Right.
But it's a good buffer. It's a good buffer.
Yeah.
It's too bad we don't. I couldn't. Are we able to play any of that stuff from Frank's stuff on YouTube?
Yeah, we can play Frank's stuff. We just can't play.
Yeah, you can play my stuff.
Frank, what is your YouTube channel called? Or how do I find it on YouTube?
It's just Frank Red.
I'm having trouble because it's just like it wants to pull up just everything about the hot sauce.
Okay, do this then.
Yeah.
If you write sauce. Okay, now you got to spell it Frank R-E-D. All right.
No space in between.
No.
Oh, that was what I did. I put the space. Maybe that's why I couldn't find it.
No, Frank R-E-D and.
I found it.
Yeah. I got a song called
"Make You Feel."
Yo, man, that song is incredible, dude. I mean,
okay.
I was fortunate to get. This is the first time I'm ever going to mention her name because she's on my record. But the singer on my song, I was so lucky to get her because she's a real star. But I didn't want to promote myself using her name. But she's a real star. The song.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Can you hear it?
Yeah, you go. Go for it.
You miss your shot at life. You think there's nothing else for you to do. This ain't a tragedy, son. I know I've seen a few. You're not responsible for somebody else's thrill. Your integrity's intact and you're still trying to climb the hill. I was a lonely man. I never thought it would come true. But sometimes in life, all you have are your dreams and you. That's when you realize that life ain't standing still. And all you can do is bow your head and accept God's will. But it's funny how it makes you feel. I said it's funny how it makes you feel. I said it's funny how it makes you feel. Life is but a thrill. You have no time for small talk, he didn't mince words, just summed the lyrics to the best song he ever heard. All his hopes and dreams had turned to despair, but what he was facing, there was no way to prepare. This came from a man who thought his life was ending. In his mind, it was serious, there was no pretending. He checked the clock on the wall before he said his goodbyes. He many tears he has gone, see back into his eyes. He was old in life, there'll be no encore. He raised his hands to the heavens, put his knees on the floor. Don't have to be a genius to know he been blessed. He said he pay it forward and always do his best. At that moment, what he's been searching for became clear. He was here to serve those who living in fear. With his newfound enlightenment and the wind at his back, he's prepared to live out his life's final act. He was a rich man now, he had purpose in life. And to capture this feeling, you don't pay a price. Before we set up on his own, he made a pledge to get some wins and live his life against the grain to the bitter end. Shot at life, you think there's nothing else for you to do. This ain't a tragedy, son, I know I've seen a few. You're not responsible for somebody else's thrill. Your integrity's intact and you're still trying to climb the hill. I was a lonely man, I never thought it would come true. But sometimes in life, all you have are your dreams and you. That's when you realize that life ain't standing still. And all you can do is bow your head and accept God's will. But it's funny how it makes you feel. I said it's funny how it makes you feel.
Frank, this is awesome.
It's funny how it makes you feel. Life is but a thrill. I can't believe you did this.
Oh, everybody's got to go leave some comments on that.
That was freaking awesome. That was freaking awesome, Frank. Now, Frank, who are you collabing with there? Who is that? Wait, can you
Yeah,
we're getting an echo.
there's a lot of echo going on.
Get the YouTube off.
But the singer's name is Sonorelli, and she's she's a major artist. She done stuff with Disney, and I'm really lucky. And it's the first time I've ever mentioned her name because she was on my record. I sent it to her, and she just liked the song, and I am just so grateful that this talented artist is on my record. And like I said before, as an artist, as a hip hop artist, what's important to me is when another artist or somebody who consumes the music listen to it and they say, you know what, it's on that level. It's professional, whether or not you like it or not. It's almost irrelevant. What is relevant is that is a professional recording that took that is an artist who took some time, who's expressing themselves in a way that is unique unto them. And that's really what art is all about, man. So
now, did you guys do that together, or did you do that separate and blend it together?
Yeah. I did it out here in California. I shipped it to her, gave her everything that she needed to make it happen. And that's kind of how music is done in a lot of situations this year. Otherwise, it becomes really, really expensive. It was pretty expensive, but it could be even more expensive when you're flying people in and then hotels, or I'm going.
Yeah.
So
I really like
sorry, Danny, but I just wanted to follow up. Did she like give you a version and then you said, I don't like it. Could you try this, try that? Or is it just like, here's what I got, you give me what you got, and then it's done?
Yeah, it's crazy. She and I have a special synergy when it comes to making music. I actually have another song as well that I haven't put out yet. But she's A1. She's top notch. So in terms of arrangements and melody, all that type stuff, man, she's just a pro. So she took my game to 3 levels beyond where I think it was. And again, I just have nothing but gratitude for her.
Yeah, Frank, I really like the lyrics. Is that a personal life experience that you wrote those words, or?
Yes. My life is really about service, man. You know,
Awesome.
and about giving back and about having. I mean, it's existential because I almost like to see other people succeed more than I like to see myself succeeding because I generally don't like the spotlight. You know, being a basketball player and playing with so many great players and so many coaches, I've always had a collaborative nature. Like if I could tell you something now and you'd be like, holy crap, you know, and I've never mentioned it before. For example, the Chicago Bulls head coach, he and I played together in high school.
Billy Donovan?
Yeah. You know,
No way.
I mean, yeah, it's my boy, you know, so, you know, and if I saw him or I saw other people, it doesn't really matter. The fame, the fortune, none of that stuff really matters. It's really about the journey. And my music is a way for me to tell my journey about where I came from, where I am now, and hopefully where I'm going to go. That song is really about anybody who was on their last breath and they were saved and they found their purpose in life, which is to help other people. And that's what it.
How important do you think is it that there's more positive messages as opposed to, you know, messages that are more about glorifying, you know, I don't want to say greed, but glorifying things.
Well,
you know, things over themes, let's say. I agree with Danny, Red. I mean, the themes,
some therapy,
you know,
right there.
Yeah, there's some great. I mean, I would love it. I would like to play that at the end of each one of our shows going forward. I just think I thought that was phenomenal, man. I mean, really, really good. What kind of reaction did you get on that?
Real positive, man. I mean, you look at the people who play the song and on YouTube and like it. I don't know these people. I'm happy that they support me, but that's when you get a genuine response. When it's just out there in the ether and people find it somehow, some way. And I don't pay $10,000 to market the record. You know, I just fall into it on a Tuesday night on the Krueg show, and you guys play my record with your large audience. People go, "Wow, Frank, you did that?" Yeah, I did it. So, yeah, you know.
That is like one thing with nowadays. I feel like people in this space, like you can have like a lot of different things going on. The way, I mean, you're clearly like a renaissance man with all the different stuff you do, screenplays and whatnot. But that was one thing I took away from when I was working at the Adam Carolla show, is like kind of the other kind of cool stuff. There was two guys that were producers there, longtime producers, and like their kind of life, they knew they maybe weren't good enough to, you know, become rock stars or whatever, but like their passion was really music. Right. And so they kind of used like being the producer at the Carolla show, getting to learn all the audio engineering stuff. And then like when he goes and does like live or tours across the country, does their live shows on the weekends, like almost every weekend, they go along with him and they open for him. And it's kind of like a way where they can play in front of a crowd and the crowd knows them, and they're like, I was kind of like, wow, you know what? That's a really cool thing, you know?
Let me give you guys a quick story. It takes us back a little bit. And Larry's always mentioning the In the Dungeon show. I really appreciate you for doing that. But when I did
this show, it was a great show. I mean, I don't know how people could understand it, but we'll be bringing that show back. Let's just say that.
But, you know, I had an opportunity to promote so many artists that I love and I respect. And I'm going to give you a quick story. I have a friend who used to host a show at Stanford named Kevy Kev, Cool Breeze. And the show was called The Drum. And this guy would allow me to come down to his show on Sunday nights. And when he finished doing his interviews with these major stars, he would allow me to interview them. And one Sunday night, I had like a 5 or 10 minute conversation with Eminem when he first came out. And to this day, I've met a lot of people, a lot of stars. Eminem was the coolest guy that I've ever met in my life. And hopefully at some point I'll get a chance to kind of talk to him and tell him how impactful that experience was for me. And I wound up playing his record until I couldn't play it anymore on the radio because it was so dead. That's how much I played this guy's song. But he could not have been more gracious. He could not have been more cool. Now, this is during a time in which he had nothing. His whole life, his whole existence was on this album being successful. You would not have known it by how professional he was and how cool he was. And I'll never forget that, man, because I was like, wow, I can't believe that I'm in this space with this person who there is no plan B. This has to happen. And like you see him sometimes now, and he just kind of like, he's real like serious and kind of to himself. And not a lot of people see him laugh because he remembers what that felt like. And I felt that with him. And, you know, I'll never forget that. I walk with that every day because we're all struggling and trying to survive in some way. And the public might not know that, but that's the vibe that I got. Like, I'm going to say this, Larry. Larry, what you've done with this Krueg show, I'm a major fan of this show, dude. It's unbelievable what you've done with this show. And it's only going to get bigger.
We're trying to upgrade
bigger,
from
and bigger.
Dan, but right now he's with us. And it's more for, it's like, you know, it's like government cheese, you know, it's like, you got to have it. No, I'm just joking. Hey, no, I mean, I'll say this. I mean, I had my own thoughts, Frank, when we started the show about, you know, this and that and big names and all kinds. But you know what I really kind of instantly kind of gravitated towards is just the hang. You know, that's really what I like about sports radio. Right. It's not the big interview or no, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, if we could get Steve Young on here, it'd be great. Nothing against the big interview, but it's like, that's not what it's really all about. What it's really all about is the art of conversation and kind of having fun with one another and different perspectives and mixing it up. And that's why sometimes I overpopulate my live streams with people. And then I feel bad because everybody's just kind of sitting around. But I do like to hear a bunch of different perspectives. And I think it's cool. Like when I know in radio, it's like, oh, 2 people would be the most. If you have 3, it's kind of a crowd. 4 is like unheard of. And then over 4 is just a cluster of nothingness. People talking over each other. But in this medium, I don't know. It's really cool. I like we have, you know, me and you and Rye and Danny, and here's Carl and Baller and different perspectives, especially like when we have a good sporting event, like an NBA playoff game or something, you know, an NFL Sunday. I think it's cool, but I just also really like having like the hang, like, you know, people get to know, you know, I mean, Dan is a total character. We have, you know, I don't know, some of the things we've done. Should we play the Dan and does Frank, do you ever see Dan? Do you ever see in one of our shows where Dan went to the stands and got people chanting my name?
No.
Watch this.
Oh my God.
Watch this.
Wait.
Can we do this, right? I mean,
yes.
Get fired up here. Let's go! Who wants to be up? Yeah! I want to be on the Larry Krueg All right! Let's go, Giants! All right, we're out here in the bleachers with the Larry Kruger Show. Larry Kruger! Yeah, we're going to be on YouTube right now tonight. All right. Okay. When I say Larry, you say Kruger. Larry! Kruger! Larry! Kruger! Larry! Kruger! All right, let's hear it one more time. Come on, all right, Larry! Kruger! Larry! Kruger! All right, hey, Larry! Let's go, Giants! Oh, Larry! Let's go, Giants!
I love it. I love it. And you know what? That's a team.
wait, do we have Danny on the home run in San Diego? We also need that one. Do we have that?
Okay, yeah,
here?
I can pull it up. I can
pull up Danny in San Diego.
And I'm not. And I'm not drunk out there in the stands.
Frank. How about just okay? We're gonna.
Oh no! How about Danny and Rye in the stands when the home run was hit?
I need to make a short video of that because I don't know like how to. But that was all time. That was probably That was like an award worthy. We got to do an award show. I'll take the effort to like whack up like all of these moments and find them all.
Should we have the Krugies?
Yeah, the Krugies. We should have the Krugies.
But yeah, I
we
mean,
all get some eggnog going, and
my whole thing was at first was like, hey man, we want to have big names and stars and this and that. And then once we got into it and started talking about these games, I realized that, man, it was more like a hang and it's just like different perspectives, not, trying to hear different perspectives. And just like, just, we're not really solving anything. We're just giving, but then, we also have people in the chat and we got a lot of regulars, Chiguayo and some of our fans who have basically, been with us from the beginning and who are
Romo,
like, hey man,
and MF and Mark Graves,
MF and all these guys. And it's like, it's really cool. I mean, it's a community of people. I don't know if I told you this, but I'm at the Niner practice a few weeks ago, or this is probably several weeks ago now. And Rye's getting stuff cut up and they have like those part-time officials out there.
Right.
And this official runs by and it's this girl that I know from years ago, family friends. And she's like, Larry, hey. So we kind of hug. And some of the other media people are kind of laughing because I'm hugging one of the officials. Then now another official runs by and he's like, hey man, love the show. And, and I said, oh, thanks. Appreciate it. And he kept running by. And then one of the other media guys was like, what show's he talking about? And I'm like, oh, I'm sure he's just referring to, KMBR, man, being on there for so long. I think that's probably what he's referring to. And then I figured, well, or it could be, my fill-in work on 95.7. Okay, so then we don't think anything of it. Another 10 minutes goes by. Now somebody goes down in practice and there's a pause and he's standing like 10 feet away and he pivots. He comes over and he's like, man, I dig the show, man. And I'm like, I appreciate it. And we shake hands and then he goes, man, that guy, Dan, that guy's a freaking nut. That guy's a freaking nut. He's like, yeah. And Rye, you guys have a lot of fun, man. And, so it was like he was talking about this show.
Right.
And I was thinking he was talking about a radio show. And he, because I figured the guy was like in his 60s. And I think, 60-year-old guy watching YouTube shows. I mean, is that, but YouTube is huge and it's a great platform and like gives us an incredible opportunity and it's visual. And I got to be honest. I mean, I got a 13-year-old kid. My 13-year-old kid cares way more about our YouTube channel than any radio project I've ever done in my life.
Right.
Because he can watch it and he's like, he'll joke about some of this stuff in the morning. Or my older kid from college will be like, Dad, last night when you guys were joking, Dan, about that, whatever. He's like, that was freaking hilarious. So I don't know.
You should have seen Larry's face last night. He was talking about.
Danny started pretending he was leaving an angry voicemail on the Giants voicemail about his tickets and what his demands because he's
as Larry Kruger.
As me, he goes, and this is Larry Kruger. And all of a sudden, once he says my name, I'm simmering.
Right.
I'm like, I'm going to choke this guy out. And then he showed that it was, basically.
I had my phone muted. I wasn't leaving a real message, but
that was not
here.
good.
We got the other one in the bleacher the same night.
Okay, here we go. Bleacher number 2.
Taylor Bentley, baby. What is it? Taylor Bentley. Woo! Taylor Bentley. He just caught Tyler.
Oh, you might.
Second home run. Let's go, baby. Let's go.
we didn't flip this one yet.
And you got a second. Let's go, check this out. Estrada's home runs tonight. All right, LK, you guys are gonna put you on the Larry Kruger show tonight. All right. Okay. Hey, let's get a chant going. When I say Larry, you guys say Kruger. Larry. Kruger. Larry. Kruger. Larry. Larry Kruger. How about it,
Hey, they get Aaron Judge. They get Aaron Judge signed. I'm going out there in left field, and we're gonna have a whole. We're gonna have not just a small section. We're gonna have all of left field.
You got to show Frank, Rye, and Danny were in the stands and what called a home run. Is that what it was?
Well,
Well, we went live. Dan and I showed Dan, it was the day I showed Dan what live betting was and the possibilities, like when you're at a Giants game and how you could like make every inning high stakes. Right. And so we both, like, we were doing surprisingly well. And then we both put all this money on the Giants to beat, like, I think what
they were
lose by 1.5. So like they had to come within 1 run, and they were down 4 in the 9th. Right. And we went live. And then Jock Peterson hits a 3-run home run, and we just run around screaming at people and like interviewing people and getting bizarre chants.
Do we have the video?
We do. It's just that's gonna
be in there. I thought it was in the brands. No,
because you know what? I'll put that together. Well, also, how about Dan just did a commercial?
So New York style sausage.
That's not that one.
Hey, Pasquale. Dan Cochimilio here for the Krueg Show. Just picked up for the very first time some of your New York style Italian sausage here at Sam's Club in Arizona. My wife just cooked it, and I'm about to take a bite. Man, this is good. Pasquale, when you winked and said you guaranteed we'd love it, you're right. This stuff is absolutely amazing. Best sausage I've ever tasted. Thank you, Pasquale.
I love the sound effects, the wrinkle of the plastic.
Yeah, exactly.
And like the chewing for like 15 seconds before the...
Yeah, because the first 5 takes I started talking and you could see the sausage coming out of my mouth, and I'm like, I can't do that, man. That doesn't look too good.
Romo, I did do the beat. I worked with a guy, my boy down in San Jose is his name is Diallo. And he's an awesome producer. So he hooks me up with a lot of the beats that we do together. But yeah, I'm doing all the beats also. So,
when Frank, when you heard that, you knew your part, and you knew that the woman that you sent it to was talented.
Yeah.
But when it came back to you and you heard it for the first time,
right?
What was that moment like? Because that, seriously, I think that sounded incredible. Like that could sound like something that people would buy in mass.
Right. It was euphoric, because I'm an independent artist. And I spend my own money, studio time, sample clearances, starting the company. You know how it is when you are a real entrepreneur and you don't have, your money. You're using money from some of your savings and from your job and stuff like that. So I felt so lucky and so much gratitude because I knew what level she had taken that song to. The message is really clear, but to hear a professional do their thing to take your song to the next level, it was euphoric. That's what it was. I mean, I walked around with a glow for a long period of time. When somebody listens to a song for the first time and they like it, that feeling always comes back. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, can we play that at the end of our shows?
If you want to, absolutely. Sure.
We're doing it, man.
I might have to cut up the hook or something. Yeah, Frank, you're going to have to, the only thing is like, we don't want you like having to do like studio time and all that kind of stuff, but it would be awesome if you had like some sort of like Krueg Show intro or just some, I don't know.
Become the opening of the Krueg Show.
Like, I got you. I got you. I'll put something together.
Maybe a little freestyle just about Dan Cochimilio.
Yes, absolutely.
We could talk about the 55 and over community.
Coach Dan.
And listen, we even have a live stream where Dan. We have a live stream, Frank, where Dan was impersonating his neighbor who complained about him walking his dog over her plants. I mean, if we could somehow work that into it, I mean, that would just be an unbelievable.
A neighbor complaining about your dog, Dan?
About Dan
my
taking
dog,
his dog for a walk.
I got you. I'll put that in there.
It's funny, somebody said earlier in the chat, and I'm starting to believe him. I really am the Kramer of this show, aren't I?
The
Nobody
problem is
cares as long as the check clears, right?
I guess that makes me the Costanza.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, though. The reason why you're great for this show, Dan, is you don't give a you know what.
Yes.
And I mean, no matter how old you are or young you are, somebody who's willing to go there when everybody at home is going, man, I wish I had did that, but you do that. That's really what it's all about. That's why I fell in love with radio, because whatever I wanted to project, I did it. And people would either like it or not like it. I think you're great, man, and this is awesome.
That's a lot of fun. It's great just to be able to have fun, you know. And
what would this show be like? What would the dungeon be like in this YouTube era? I mean, because I used to love listening to the dungeon on 1140 Sunday nights.
Right.
You'd have Jason Kidd. You would have local basketball players. You would have local musicians.
Yeah.
It was a free flowing conversation. It seemed like you had total freedom to kind of take it in any direction you wanted.
It would be me conversing certainly with people who were listening to the show. Just kind of like what you said. It's really more about the hang. But I would have some interviews also. I'm fortunate that I have a lot of friends. Jack Armstrong, the analyst for the Raptors, was my coach at Fordham.
Really?
Yeah, Jack Armstrong. Yeah, Coach Armstrong. Tom Penders was my coach at Fordham.
Wow, former Texas coach.
Hall of
Did he
Famer.
have the shiny,
Yeah.
curly?
Yeah, he did. And Coach and I talk. I mean, he literally is he's the closest thing that I've ever had to a dad. And
Tom Penders?
Yeah, and I thank him all the time because he was willing to lose games if he needed to, if he thought that he needed to teach his players some life lessons that were sustainable, then he would do that. And I'll never forget that, because without his sometimes heavy-handed coaching, I don't think I would be in a situation that I'm in now, because my transition into adulthood was tolerable because he was not easy on me. He wasn't easy on anybody. So I see myself talking to a lot of coaches. Fred Quarterbaum, assistant coach at Kansas, is like a little brother to me. I know a lot of people, man. So I would have some guests, but more than anything, it would be the hang, getting to know people, talking about hip-hop music. I'm a hip-hop historian. I'm an artist. I love film, so I'm going to inject film into the show. Kate Blanchett, are you kidding me? Nobody's better than Kate Blanchett.
But by the way, Frank, did you see Knives Out, the first one?
Yes.
So I just saw today was the last day. It was only in the theaters for a week. I saw it earlier today.
Oh man.
Because I really wanted to. Glass Onion. Oh, yeah. It's so good. It's
awesome,
so
right?
good.
Yeah. So I go to the movies quite a bit. And like I said, I mean, I look forward to writing more films, more screenplays, TV shows, just because it's artistically stimulating to me. And I love it, man. I love what you guys do. And to occasionally be a part of it is just it's a wonderful diversion, which is what we all need in our lives. We need diversions, and that's pretty much what this is. Like you said, Larry, we're not solving worldly problems. We're talking about basketball and sports and stuff like that. So
yeah, but it is also, though, it's like people like dialogue, they like relatability, they love sports. There's a little bit of voyeurism to it, to be honest, because everybody's got their home studio set up or whatever. You can, so there's that whole thing. But then also it's like organic. There's no script. This is kind of an interesting comment. Senior softball games. He says, I'll be honest, I probably wouldn't watch as much if there wasn't so much viewer interaction. That's what sets it apart. I like that part as well. I always love taking phone calls and getting people's reaction to what you're doing. And the fact of the matter is, it's only really funny when we start screwing with each other and then the people start reacting to it. And, we have one guy in here, Mark Graves, but we gave the ability months ago to anytime he says mute Dan, we mute Dan, right? We gave him this power on the show. Mark Graves has the power. One guy on the show has the power. And if he comes in and says mute Dan, we don't even think twice. We just mute Dan.
You know, Mark is the one that package of the sausage. He's the one that picked it up for me. He lives down here in Arizona too, about 10, 15 minutes from me. So I met him at the Sam's near the Sam's Club.
Here we go.
Lot.
Mute Dan, Mark Graves. So on that note, Dan is muted. Now look how much better the show immediately is. I mean, just think about it. Look how this show flows now much better. Look how it sounds so much better. I mean, it's amazing. It's a magical elixir. No, I'm just joking.
I really want to at some
now
point
we'll unmute Danny because it's only funny for so long.
Yeah, we got to show faith then.
Yeah, I really want at some point to have
shows his dogs, and we get him back in here.
We got to have like a live show at some point where like we get Cy out here, get Frank out here, and then just like get like all the people that are like in the Krueg Show community that show up every night.
Oh, we got to do a live thing, like, you know, get some pizza place or something and just do a show.
Maybe have Frank perform.
That'd be dope.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Frank doing some rap. Oh, that would be awesome.
Pick like a Bay Area venue.
Yeah.
You know, that we want to like, you know, have people at, you know, but it is true though. Like whether you're talking about politics, sports, anything really, this kind of 4-box TV alignment of different perspectives is real popular.
Right.
And why is it popular? Because it's easy and it also lets a lot of people interact. And it doesn't have to go back and forth. There's no rhyme or reason. There's no script. We didn't talk before the show and say, well, I'm going to say this and you say that, and we'll disagree here. We'll go to there. You know, so
only one time
did we have a script?
That's part of the top when you put the top clips together. These guys, Frank, they did a game on me of capitals. Guess the capitals of the of every state. And Ryan had the list. And Larry's playing like, okay, Dan, he starts off with Ryan. He goes, Ryan, you get California.
And then what is the capital of California? He's like, Sacramento. And I'm like, Dan, South Dakota. And Dan's like, oh, South Dakota. South Dakota. And I'm like, Rye, Texas. He's like, Austin.
And then the difficult ones, I would like have to pretend like I was really reaching, but really I was just reading off the list.
You were surprised that I actually got some of those, weren't you?
Yeah. So I gave Dan all of the hardest ones. What I found was I found a bookmark that had a couple bookmarks that had like all the presidents on one side and all the capitals on the other. So I gave a copy to Rye. And I'm like, oh, this would be awesome. I go, we'll just screw with Dan, and you'll just keep getting him right. He'll just keep getting him wrong, and it will frustrate him.
That is funny.
Oh, and we just never said anything. I don't think this might be the first time we even said anything about it.
Yeah.
I've got one here for the young guy, and nobody in the chat put any comments, so he can't read. Because I know Larry knows this. Who are the teams in the NFL who've never even been to a Super Bowl?
Houston Texans.
Yep.
There's 4 of them.
Let me go with the Vikings.
No, they've lost 4 of them.
Oh, God damn it.
Jack Del Rio?
Detroit Lions?
Jack Del Rio?
That's 2.
You ever heard of Michael Jackson?
What about
Don't look.
Think of a new team. Think of a new
I saw your head look down. There's 2 more. You need hints. They're both in the AFC.
Jaguars.
There's 3.
There you go.
Was it because Michael Jackson had pet jaguars?
No, because Jacksonville. Jack.
What about? Okay,
it's fun to get the young guys. I don't know. That's what makes this show is we got all different ages.
Honestly, I have no idea.
Browns.
Browns.
Deshaun Watson. Yeah, there you go. Browns.
Hey,
but the
somebody
Browns
asked-
are technically became the. Wait, oh no.
Somebody asked earlier in the night in the chat when we were talking about music and that kind of thing. It didn't really fit, but somebody asked if Frank would weigh in on your thoughts on the fact that Barry Bonds is not in the Hall of Fame. We obviously know he admitted to taking 2 substances. The feds told us those substances were the cream in the clear. So it's like, it's not like we don't know it. You know, this whole like, well, if he took steroids, he took substances we know were steroids. So
right.
I'm on the record of saying I think he should be in. And regardless of that, and to me, the cutoff is Bud Selig. The fact that, and I always use the school as an example. If there was a crooked school with bad, with kids getting grades they didn't deserve, would you blame the kids? Well, yeah, they cheated, but you blame the teachers, the principal, the administrators, and the people that let it happen more.
Right.
In baseball, they blamed the Barry Bondses and Roger Clemens while basically honoring and forever remembering the principal, in this case Bud Selig. He's safely ensconced in the hall. So I just think that's hugely hypocritical, and I would put Bonds in there, and I would put on his plaque that he was a steroid user, and let history decide what that means long term. So, but where are you on Barry for the hall?
No, I think you and I are on the same page. I mean, we have a society that is empathetic and forgiving. Why isn't baseball aligned with our society and our values? The one thing that you said makes a lot of sense. If Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens said, listen, I use steroids, they would be in, because they're telling me, because it's not like they were not Hall of Famers before they, quote, started using. Even for young kids not to be totally familiar with Pete Rose, to me is sad, because this guy's going to die at some point. Anybody who got a chance to see Pete Rose play know that he's part of the fabric of baseball. So my whole thing is, if you can stand before the public and be honest and be forgiving, like a Kyrie Irving, and say, listen, I did these things, I made a mistake, I'm sorry, and judge him on his statistics, he should be in the,
I agree with you, Frank. Our society, poor Pete Rose. We should learn as a nation to show more grace to people, because Pete Rose was asking for forgiveness just a couple weeks ago. You're going to send the man to his grave and deprive him of what little joy. Baseball was his life, and he made a mistake, and he admitted it. His mistake was, and he wasn't like he was betting on the Reds to lose. He wasn't throwing games. He was betting on his team to win.
People are fallible.
And look at today. Sports is all about gambling now.
Well, it's Danny's so right on that. There's a great show, and I would encourage people to watch it. It's called The Backstory. Have you guys heard of it?
I have not.
Don Van Atta, who was an investigative journalist that investigated the Clinton White House, works for ESPN. The show has since been canceled, which that tells you how good the show was, because everything that's good gets canceled. Basically, it was really, really well done, and they did like 4 of them. One of them was on like Serena's controversy, yelling at the line judge, and she broke down and freaked out. One was on Manti Te'o's whole catfishing episode, and the one was on Pete Rose and Joe Jackson and the Hall of Fame. And it's so well done, and you could probably find it on Google or on YouTube. And it's basically Don Van Atta interviewed Pete, and he interviewed this lady at the Joe Jackson Museum. And baseball was used gambling as a way to foster its own growth in its early days. And now here we are in 2022, and it's using gambling again to further grow their sport. And so they're hugely hypocritical to keep Pete Rose, the all-time hit king, out of the Hall of Fame. And the Bob Costas line to me is, somebody got all those hits. You know what I mean? And so it's like, to me, yeah, I agree. I think Pete Rose bet against his team? I really don't. I think Pete Rose bet on his team as a manager. And is that against the rules? Yeah. Did he have an arrogance and a sense of entitlement to him that he needed to be taught a lesson? Yeah. But he's learned his lesson. It's been plenty of time.
Right.
And he played, I remember going to a Giants Phillies game or Giants Reds game in the 70s with my dad. And my dad always said, hey, if you ever want to know how to play the game, play the game the way that guy played the game.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, this is my dad who grew up watching Willie Mays and had nothing but great respect for Willie, but he understood that Rose brought a level of hustle and competitiveness that was undeniable.
Oh,
and
remember
so
his bowling over Ray Fosse in the All-Star game?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that plays badly over time as they've now changed the rules to protect the
But at the
catcher.
time, that was a legal play.
Yeah, but I mean, Pete ran to first and he hustled, and Charlie hustled, and he was an incredible hitter. And he's a flawed human being. He's got
like Frank said, earlier, we all are, and the problem is that people act like they think they're better than other people, and I just get so tired of the hypocrisy because Bud Selig, the guy that was behind the whole steroid era, turned his back to it, knew it was going on, and he gets in because he's a former owner and he's in tight with the owners of baseball,
right?
And Barry's left out, and Clemens, and many others. I mean, somebody in here put in the chat that can't find it in here, but they said
it wasn't against the rules.
McGuire and Sosa and Bonds saved baseball. They were coming off the '94 strike where it was dead baseball.
Here's my thing about Barry Bonds, and this is, I guess, selfishly in some ways. When Dusty Baker was on the cusp of winning his first world championship as a manager, he shared some perspective. And he basically said that he has no homegrown African-American players on his team. Now, if I'm Major League Baseball and I'm truly interested in growing this great game, I love baseball.
Yes.
Barry Bonds would be used.
Yes.
I mean, Barry Bonds is articulate. He has the goods. He's colorful. If Barry would say, listen, I did this, but I've turned my life around. This is not what I would do if I had a second chance. Now, obviously, you got a lot of baseball historians that look at the records. I get all that, but I would find a way to use Barry Bonds.
Well, the records are tainted anyway because you got pitchers that were juicing too. So how do you?
Well, the real crime here is that they just dropped all of this big mess, which they got here because everybody's greedy. Why did baseball look away from it? Because they were making money.
Right.
And why did no writers write about it? Because they're smart enough to know that you're not going to get ahead interrupting baseball in the process of making money. So they weren't going to put them, no writer was going to put himself. I don't blame the media at all for not unearthing the truth. It was bigger than the media, and it was bigger than any individual, writer or any individual talk show host. So, that's just the way it is. And it's like, that's where we got here because of money and greed. And, the baseball is going to have to me, it's like, what is the Hall of Fame? It's a museum. What do you do in a museum? You remember history. Are you not going to remember this chapter of history? Of course you are. It's going to be remembered somehow, some way. So why not just put it on the plaques?
Yeah.
Stop trying to decide what these guys would or wouldn't have done. putting, here's the other thing. Baseball is, they have refunded no fan. They have given back no revenue.
Right.
No player has given back a single penny of any contract. No record. Unlike, Ben Johnson ran the world record in the Olympics and he was dirty as hell. But guess what? Those records were stricken from the record books. It's like it never happened. That's the way it's handled in Olympic sprinting. That's not the way baseball's dealing with it. Barry Bonds, that record is still legit.
That's right. Aaron Judge recognizes it as
everybody recognizes it, and that's what it is. And so if you're going to not let him in, where are the refunds? Where's the acknowledgement that this all was fraudulent?
I mean, they sure loved it when those balls were flying high out of the stadium night after night with Sosa and McGuire and then Bonds.
It's the stuffy media that really gets me. It's like,
it's these old timers.
All of his peers that get interviewed about it, even guys like Ken Griffey that were clean, like they all are like, "Are you kidding me? Like that guy was unreal. He was the best player I've ever seen." And it's like, all you can do is judge players based on their eras. So it's like, okay, well, Babe Ruth played in baseball when it was all white guys. Is there something against that? And is there something on his plaque about that? No. Okay, Barry Bonds played in an era where there was a lot of steroid use. He was still the best, clearly the best of all of them. So he should be in the Hall of Fame, not David Ortiz. It's like he didn't do anything illegal.
He's in. Harold Baines is in.
He will be
Harold
voted in.
That
100%. My generation will vote him in, even if they have to break the rules, because it's all the stuffy old baseball writers that were offended by his personality.
65.
It's like, great! You guys really owned him by making it so that we had to wait till he died to get in the Hall of Fame. Good on you guys.
Yeah, I know exactly. The other thing that bothers me about baseball is I'm a marketing guy, and so I don't understand why baseball does not put tons. I'm talking millions and millions of dollars into the game, into the inner cities.
They
equipment.
They are.
Well, buy more.
Their whole RBI program is investing, but it's not as much as they're investing in Santo Domingo. That's the problem. I mean,
they're not exactly.
They don't have, every team should have an academy. They should be making a more significant and consistent investment. Frank, did you want to jump in on Rise Point?
Right. What was your point really quickly? I listened to it.
The media being, against him for his personality or just being the best of all of those guys.
I mean, I'm all about personal forgiveness.
Yes.
I mean, I've seen Barry, derail the Bay Area media, and it wasn't a good look. And I'm not saying that he is, up for Saint of the Year. But what I'm saying is that we should not be afraid to give people a second act. All right. And again, when I look at Barry Bonds at this stage of his career, what he could do to promote this wonderful game is endless. The amount of things that I think that he could do to promote baseball, to even drum up interest among young people, to tell real stories about his life, about mistakes that he's made. Because you know what? I mean, the irony is, in terms of talent level, baseball is actually in a pretty good place. But nobody knows these guys. Only people that know these guys are people who love baseball. Baseball would benefit by having a plethora of stars that's not all based on like hype, and you do that by falling in love with the game. And baseball is missing a significant segment that I think could be galvanized by people like a Barry Bonds.
I'll go also as to say, look, I mean, if Barry Bonds were sitting right here, I would say this exactly to him. He's undoubtedly the greatest hitter I've ever seen, one of the greatest players I've ever seen, and a fraud as the single season home run king and as the career home run king. But Barry Bonds was great, and he did steroids. Barry Bonds was not great because he did steroids.
Right.
And I think there's a huge distinction there. Roger Clemens was an all-timer, and he did steroids. He wasn't an all-timer because he did steroids.
Right.
So
It's not that hard.
that's my cutoff. And if it's like if you find some guy who really wasn't any good, but then used steroids and became, amassed some incredible resume, bring him forward. I haven't seen him. For the most part, I would say just put all these guys in and have it reflected. But I think in a way I feel sorry for the writers because baseball just dumped it all in their lap and said, hey, you know what? You guys make sense of it. We're taking the money and we're not going to give back a single freaking penny. And how it all fits together, yeah, it impacts us and our history. It's our history, but
Well, who are the
screw it. You guys
people-
just deal with it. And that's how bad of a leader Bud Selig really is. So, baseball,
and these,
they've obliterated the record book to the point where, this summer, Albert Pujols was doing his climb up the home run rank, and nobody outside of St. Louis gave a shit.
Nobody exactly
cared.
Larry, that's it. Nobody gives a shit about it now. And it's like, here's the other thing. Let's look at recent baseball history. It's like, this year we're just going to have balls that fly out of the yard. Oh, but you know what? After about a quarter way through the season, we're going to actually change it so that those balls don't fly out of the yard.
Yeah.
And then it's like, the Astros clearly cheated and there clearly was other teams that were cheating and they actually won a World Series. Bonds didn't win a World Series. Bonds wasn't preventing anyone from winning a World Series. The game is about winning. It's not about personal stats that everyone loves because they were kids.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, baseball bought the ball company. Yeah. See, that's the thing, and so now they're creating the ball. Yeah,
so
they
can
make
change
the
balls
so
from week
there was
to
an
week.
interview.
I didn't know they make their own balls now. I didn't know that.
Yeah, Rob Manfred did an interview last year or the year before, and he was being asked about the change in the number of home runs, and he's so stupid that he actually said this. He goes, "The balls are made by hand." So they're different. And instead, if a ball's made by hand, what's coming is ball to ball, right? So he goes, the balls are made by hand, so they're different. Instead of saying ball to ball, he goes, so they're different year to year. So that just screams to everybody that you change the ball year to year based on what you want, how you want it to perform. And now you've lost all credibility on all of it. These records all have less credibility now because you own the company and have sloppily acknowledged that you've made changes to the core of the actual game, which is the ball itself. So, I mean,
here's another thing. Right now, they've got a committee of 16 people. And several of them are former players. They're voting on Bonds and a few others to put him in or not put him in the Hall of Fame. They need 12 votes. Willie Mays is in his 90s now. We don't know how long Willie's going to be here. He's asked baseball to put him in. I don't know why they wouldn't grant, just even for Willie's sake, one of the top 2-3 baseball players of all time. And just, they name the MVP now off of the All-Star game, the Willie Mays award. He's asked you to put Barry Bonds in the Hall of Fame. Put him in. My goodness, who are these people?
What other sport, Dan, would like a guy like?
Because I'm sorry, Ryan, but I was just saying the writers want to penalize him. The writers feel, and I've heard Ann Killian talk about this. I've heard a number of writers talk about this. They feel like because of the character clause that they can penalize Barry Bonds for knowingly and willingly breaking the law.
But Big
it was
Papi's
the
in,
law
he was
of
on
the
the
land,
list.
but it wasn't the law of MLB.
Then let's take
MLB's
Ty
law,
Cobb and all those guys out for being
it was the
assholes.
wild, wild west as far as MLB was concerned. I mean, to not do steroids in 1998 was to do so at a competitive disadvantage. That's reality. Whether you want to acknowledge that it was good, bad, or whatever. If you were not using steroids in 1998, as Sosa and McGuire were, you were doing so at not doing the best you could do. Barry saw it. He saw those guys and said, wait a second, Those guys brought back the game. I'm 10 times the player. They're doing it. Nobody says anything. I'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what you got. I don't look at it. I look at it as, I mean, there was a time in America where you could shoot a guy in the middle of the street with a gun and you broke no law. It was the wild, wild west. Anything went. That was baseball in regards to steroids until they enacted rules within the sport. So to penalize the players and not the people who actually had the power to enact change is just totally ridiculous. And my good friend Howard Bryant wrote the book Juicing the Game. In that book, Bud Selig acknowledged that he basically claimed that when the fans were chanting steroids at Jose Canseco in 1989 at Fenway Park, that he had never, that was his first, that was when it first dawned on him that steroids had played any part in the game of baseball at the major league level. That was his statement. Well, Howard Bryant went, because he's a great writer, and found documentation where Bud Selig called meetings, internal meetings at the MLB offices to discuss steroid use years before that moment with Canseco. So that's just he caught Bud in a lie, in a bold lie. So baseball cannot be trusted on this issue, and it's proven.
Hey, did you know that Susan Slusser is a member of the 16
she is the Baseball Writers Association of America president.
Man, I hope she has some pull. Listen to the other people who are on this: Chipper Jones, Greg Maddux, Jack Morris, Ryan Sandberg, Lee Smith, Frank Thomas, Alan Trammell, Paul Beeston, Theo Epstein, Artie Marino, Kim. How do you say her name? Naig, Kim NG. The
Kim Ing.
Oh yeah.
Ing. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Dave St. Peter, Ken Williams, Steve Hurt, Lavelle Neal, and Susan Slusser. So those are the 16. Bonds needs 12. I can't believe any former player. Why would they vote against them? But
I mean, the most ridiculous thing of all time. Watch the Ken Burns. By the way, it's on right now, I believe. Ken Burns has the baseball special. He has so much detail in those baseball shows that he's done. He acknowledged in one of these shows that Ty Cobb literally shanked a guy outside of a hotel with a knife.
Right.
And they looked away, and there was a racial component of it. And I forget exactly the details on it, but they looked away from Ty Cobb shanking this guy with a knife. And basically, and you're keeping Barry Bonds out of the Hall of Fame, citing the character clause, a Hall of Fame that houses Ty Cobb.
Babe Ruth allegedly was with a zillion prostitutes, and some people think he actually might have murdered his wife. So
Babe Ruth, who supposedly, missed a whole year because of syphilis.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, so it's just,
Wow.
it's an unbelievable, baseball's history is so intertwined with gambling, and they loved gambling once upon a time, and then they hated gambling, and now they love gambling again, and still, Shoeless Joe and Pete Rose are out. They acknowledge that generations of ball players used amphetamines and popped them regularly. But
which is way more important to being good at baseball than taking,
or at least
steroids.
being up. I mean, basically you're taking uppers of some kind to keep going. But now the PEDs are evil. So, the whole thing, it's largely hypocritical, and it's just kind of is what it is. But I think Rye's right. Ultimately, the younger fan will vote Barry in and Clemens in over time. Frank, we're just going to play some ads and maybe have a couple last thoughts. Do you have a final thought? We'll let you get on with your night here. We're over 2 hours into the live stream. We're at almost 11:45.
And I got one more question for Frank after his final thought. So,
okay. But we're going to replay your song at the end of each show, and we're going to replay it at the end of tonight's show, because I thought it was phenomenal, man.
Well, let me just say this.
Phenomenal. I think that was the highlight of this show for me.
Listen, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what the show. I mean, I knew we have fun. I know we talk about the games, and that would be cool. But this has been a moment. This has been an experience, and hanging out with you guys is awesome. And as a listener and as a fan of just guys and women and they and everybody having fun talking about things that we love, this has been an enjoyable experience for me. And I thank you guys so much. And yeah, man, I look forward to checking this out when you broadcast it, like I watch some of the other shows. So,
oh yeah, we're going to put this at the end of the show every night. But
right.
when does Golden State play again this week? Is it Friday? They don't play till Friday, I think.
They play Wednesday, don't they?
They play Wednesday?
No,
no, tomorrow's Wednesday.
Okay.
Who do they got coming
Friday?
up?
I think they're off Wednesday, Thursday.
No.
They play the Bulls Friday.
Yeah, you're right.
Bulls Friday.
They play Friday and Saturday.
Yeah.
So
my question.
Maybe we'll do a live stream Friday night. I don't know if you'll be around, but we'll send you an invite. Go ahead, Danny.
My question to Frank is: being from New York, everybody, is wanting to know about, will Judge sign with the Giants or not? And ultimately it comes down, obviously, he probably already knows and has known, is my guess. He's probably known for weeks what he wants to do.
Right.
But you're from New York. Judge is from California, 2 hours in a small town outside back. In fact, Ryan was just outside his high school there, but he's back, it looks like, up in Linden. And, he's my thinking is
there a question coming at any point here?
Yeah. My question is, but I wanted to share my thought too, but I'll do that. The question is this, Frank.
Wait a second. Danny's
Danny's waxing. As a guy in New York.
Wait, let's move Danny into the center square.
As a guy from New York
out of the way.
who saw a lot of players growing up there, and a lot of guys get booed if they don't, obviously when you're doing great, like Jeter, it's right. The top of the mountain, but getting booed, does that have an effect on you as a fan and players? I mean, you played at Fordham. I mean, I'm sure you didn't, that guys weren't booing Fordham much, but what is it like to be playing in New York? Because everybody says, oh, he's not going to leave New York. Right. He's what's the feel, do you think, as some athletes making a choice to leave New York or stay?
I think it's emotional. I think for players like Jeter who live for the moment, they love it. It's awesome. There's nothing like it. The air smells and feels different. But with regards to Judge, I think it's really about whether or not he can get past being insulted. You know what I'm saying? Because the Yankees basically said, we don't think you're worth what you're asking us. And then he went out and shocked the world. And now they want to, increase their offer. So if he takes that experience personally, I think he could lean more towards coming to the West Coast, because the Giants are literally a perfect fit for him. If he misses the ambiance, the excitement of being in Gotham, then he'll go back to New York. But so I think it's a matter of choice. What does he want? But I think that negotiations that took place last year will play a role when he makes that decision. I honestly believe that. Another fun fact.
Yes.
Michael Kay used to broadcast some of my basketball games. Went to Fordham.
Really?
Oh, wow.
No way.
Michael Kay went to Fordham. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Michael Kay.
Isn't Fordham the top business school in the country?
It's one of the top business schools, but it's also, it rivals, I mean, I guess you put maybe Syracuse and Fordham have the best college radio stations in the East Coast, as far as I'm concerned.
Really?
Bob Papa, I went to Fordham with Bob Papa. Bob Papa went to Fordham too.
Yeah, New York Giant, longtime New York Giants announcer, right?
So yeah, so Michael
no relation to Greg.
Mike Breen went to Fordham. You know that, right?
Oh,
dang! Dang!
Yeah.
It's one of the best calls there is.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So yeah, man, it was a changed my life, and even to this day, I have fond memories on that experience. So it's great.
Red, great stuff, man.
I'm out, fellas. Thank you so much. I really appreciate y'all, and look forward to the next time I have an opportunity. All right.
Catch you
Awesome, Frank.
soon.
Thanks
Catch
again.
you soon. Have a great one. Frank Red.
Yeah.
The
One
great
of the best.
Frank Red.
He is awesome. All right, let's do this. Let's play a few spots. We'll come back with the final thoughts after this.
Larry Kruger here for Telmetrics. Thanks to Casey Bateman and the good people at Telmetrics. If you're an occupational therapist, if you're an orthopedic surgeon, a chiropractor, a physical therapist of any kind, Telmetrics is designed for you to use in your practice and will greatly benefit your patients. Telmetrics uses computer vision and artificial intelligence and provides a platform for outpatient rehab therapy services, both in the clinical and the telehealth environments. So using Telmetrics can improve your patient's experience and much more. So for all your sports injury needs, or if you're a physical rehabilitation specialist of any kind, call and make sure you use telmetrics.co, TELMETRIX.co. And thanks to Casey Bateman and all the good people at Telmetrics for being a proud sponsor of the Krueg. I'd like to thank our sponsor, Dan Coach Emilio. Dan is a buddy, and he is a phenomenal retirement planning specialist. And you can contact him today at securemoney.com or at his number 925-628-9966. There's a lot of uncertainty in our world right now, and you want to make sure that your money is secure. That is the key. Danny's got 25 years of experience, born and raised right here in the Bay Area, and he can help you get an immediate 10% premium bonus on your principal retirement account. So give him a call, 925-628-9966. He'll make an appointment with you, and you can sit down. It's not a one-size-fits-all kind of a deal. He'll consult with you and come up with a strategy to get you going to where you want to be. Once again, 925-628-9966, securemoney.com on the web. And thanks to Tony Casera and the good people at Casera's Italian Menswear. They are housing the Krueg Show t-shirts, and they're a proud sponsor of the show as well. The Krueg Show t-shirt, the Krueg Show podcast t-shirt is available there at their store in Dublin. Their address is 7372 San Ramon Road in Dublin, California. And go see Tony Casera and get yourself a Krueg Show t-shirt and support the show. And special thanks to our sponsor, New York Style Italian Sausage. That's right, NewYorkStyleSausage.com is their website. Phenomenal product, whether it's the breakfast sausage, the Italian mild, the Italian spicy, the chorizo. You cannot go wrong with New York Style Italian Sausage. Once again, NewYorkStyleSausage.com. Often imitated, never equaled.
We grew up with a Sunday dinner. That means no matter how busy you were, no matter where the hell you were, you came to dinner on a Sunday night. Yeah, Sunday dinner without sausage, it's like a church without God. You know, how can you go to church if you don't believe in God? You know, and along with the sausage also became the discussions. That was discussion night. You know, it wasn't a typical family that you sit there and you're quiet, you know, and you don't talk with a mouthful. Oh no, man. Italians talk when they're eating. Italians even talk when they're sleeping. And definitely we talk with our hands. So if we can't express it through our mouth, through our lips, we express it with our hands. So, and that's what sausage is, really. It's an expression, you know, that life is good.
So New York Style Sausage was started over 70 years ago. We are the largest producer of fresh Italian sausage on the West Coast.
What makes our sausage in New York style is really the recipe came from back east, from New York, you know, from Connecticut.
If you look at all of our labels, there's maximum 4 or 5 ingredients, which we're really proud of.
There's no preservatives, no MSG, fresh in, fresh out.
The pork comes in fresh, goes out fresh. There's never any freezing throughout the process. We've always used fine quality cuts. We're never gonna deter from that. It's one of the reasons why our sausage is so good. I guarantee you put our sausage up against anybody else's from a flavor standpoint, no one will beat it, hands down.
Hey, do yourself a favor and do me a favor. Go buy a package of the New York style Italian sausage. Guaranteed you will love it, guaranteed.
Hey, Pasquale. Dan Cochimilio here.
All right.
I like that just as a drop. Hey, Pasquale, Dan Cochimilio here.
Hey, Pasquale. Dan Cochimilio here.
Jeez.
Oh, man. Good stuff. Good stuff.
We'll see Ringo's new toy.
More perusal through the chat. We've got this one.
I've got more human grade biscuits tonight.
Look at you.
But they're not
2001.
for me.
LOL. Eric L says Dan drops his new album in San Diego at the winter meetings.
Yeah. Hey, Judge, I think he's coming.
Hey, Spider 8, New York, Connecticut. Yes, there you go. I mean, we noticed that as well. Anonymous, don't tell me that you're innocent because it insults my intelligence and it makes me very angry. I'm talking to you, Piazza, Bagwell, Pudge, Poppy, Griffey, Seelig. I don't know about Griffey on that one, to be honest. Romo 2001, DJ Connecticut Sausage Bars. Pasquale is the rapping king of all sausage.
Oh, we
makers.
should get Pasquale to do a rap about
How great would that
a
be?
collab.
Wouldn't that be awesome? Him rapping about his sausage.
Or I can
Eric
see him
L.
at the
We need a
beginning.
live stream from San Diego during the winter meetings. Danny, why don't you head to
Yes.
San Diego?
I may be doing that.
You go to San Diego. We'll go live from San Diego. All you got to do is walk around the lobby, and you're skilled enough. So all you got to do is just walk up to, maybe Ned Coletti or something like that.
Larry, are you going to be
Maybe, we'll
driving?
get maybe if you tell me when we're on, then if you tell me when you want to do this, I might be able to get Ned to join us. And then you could then go up to people and be like, hey, would you join me on the Krueg show with Ned Coletti? And then now we could maybe interview some executives with Ned right there. If you did it skillfully and professionally. Think about that. You go up to Farhan, Dan Cochimilio with the Krueg show. We're doing a live stream right now with Ned Coletti. Would you join us for a minute or two? Ned Coletti, really? Yeah, I'll join you.
It'd be
And
like
then all of a
me
sudden-
going
and
into
then
like
you
the
just-
49ers
then
media room with
you-
Larry,
You do that off air, right? Then you just text us, hey, I've got blah blah blah. I've got Dave Forst sitting here, and then we get Dave Forst on, and we start talking to him about the winter meetings. And hey, you guys just traded Sean Murphy. Did the Giants show interest? Yes, they actually did. Oh, really? What did they offer? Could you imagine how incredible that could be?
Now, when I say Larry, you say Kruger.
What if Dan goes down there and he has the whole tone wrong? He's got all these people screaming in the lobby.
We're like we'd think it's a disaster, and then we turn on the show, and it's like he's got like 15 GMs just in unison chanting.
Yeah, exactly.
Scott
Mark
Boros.
Graves, can Dan get GMs to yell Kruger a la the bleachers? LOL.
Hey, what if
Scott
Dan
Boros
just
here,
can you give a shout out to Larry Kruger? When I say Larry, you say Kruger.
Dan just gets hired as an assistant GM for Farhan.
Well, you know what? It would be hilarious if Dan were there and we could get Ned on, and we could just talk winter meetings, and Dan could like walk through the lobby and then we could just you could take a break every now and then and just put down the live stream.
I probably have to go without my Giants hat though. I couldn't really go down there.
No,
wearing-
I would definitely wear a hat.
I'd get your wife to break out a Sharpie and just write at the Krueg show on your head, on your bald head.
Maybe do like a Chris Berman, just spray on a widow's peak.
Yeah.
The Carlos.
What if Danny had like a widow's
loser?
peak that went like halfway down his forehead?
No, you should just wear a wig, like a Karen wig, maybe.
Well, you know what you wear is you wear one of those visors that has the Guy Fieri hair on the back.
The thing is, it actually could go really well, because if it was me who was doing it, they might be like, oh, who's this freaking rookie ass producer ass 27-year-old? But when they see Dan, they're going to be like, oh shit. Oh, this guy looks like he knows
program.
This guy looks like he knows me. Like maybe we've talked before. I'm going to be so embarrassed when I don't remember who.
Did he lose his
name
hair?
is.
Maybe I interviewed him when he had hair and he just
I think that's Scott Van Pelt. Scott Van Pelt. Oh, nice to meet you.
Your standard line is, "Hey, Your standard line is, "I had all my hair last year until Farhan started making these terrible minor league moves."
I'll go Scott. I'll go SVP.
Yeah, SVP joins us. Hey, how
everybody.
you doing, SVP? Hey, let's go Bad Beats. You're the guy from Bad Beats.
That's. Oh, it is SVP. Oh,
SVP, everybody.
Yeah. Wait, is that Ryan Russillo or is that SVP? I can't.
That would be hilarious if we me, you, and Dan went to a Giants game, and then me and you just start talking loud. That's Scott Van Pelt.
Oh, get a custom jersey that says S. Van Pelt on the back.
Yeah, and then have Danny walk through there.
I could shave the rest of this too. There's just no,
right now
you got to get some of that like wax that Robert Saleh has that will just really make it shine.
Oh yeah,
I had a buddy who had the exact same. He shaved his head always, and we had a bet that he lost that he could not shave his head for like it was like 6 weeks, right? And it looked bad. I mean, it was like he was starting to look like. It was like kind of getting bushy on the sides and down here. Oh, it was bad. He's like, please let me shave, please.
Have you ever been to the winter meetings at all?
I did go one year. It was in San Diego the year I went.
I
forget what year it was.
You got guys wearing
90s.
Shorts around there, or people?
What? Shorts?
Are they casual? Are people wearing shorts, or are they
not the executives? They're walking around in suits.
Are you going to give a full report on everyone's calves?
No, I just like to wear shorts wherever I'm at.
Yeah, you can wear shorts. It's okay. They're not going to arrest you.
I'm like Tolbert. I can't wear.
Excuse me, security. We got a guy down here wearing shorts. Arrest him. Take him to the shorts police. All right. Great stuff. Great stuff today. You guys got a final thought on this one? Couple Warriors lose in Dallas. Kuminga played well. Couple other headlines that I saw from today. It sounds like the Dolphins are going to be down Teron Armstead and Austin Jackson. They're going to be down both their offensive tackles for this game.
Ooh, Bosa.
Tell you what, Tua, as much as great as he's played this year, and you got to give it up to him at this point. It's been too long he's been playing too excellent for too long at this point, and they've been winning, but he hasn't really been really hit this year. If the Niners if they can put some licks on him, you might see a little bit of a different Tua.
Little Samson Ebukam up the Tua.
Up the butt of his Tua.
Phillies remain the leading contender to sign Trey Turner, according to Mark Feinsand. He says that Philadelphia's top target in free agency is Trey Turner. Joel Sherman said an agreement between Turner and the Phillies has a good chance to happen. So we're starting to see that maybe the Phillies are going to wind up with Trey Turner. I thought that was interesting. Kylie McDaniel reported today of ESPN that Shelby Miller, who pitched last year with the Giants and pitched well down the stretch, is jumping to the Dodgers, and the Dodgers are going to pay him $1.5 million to pitch out of their pen.
Wait. Is Anonymous right? Because I mean, he did obviously get destroyed and had a concussion. But other than the concussion, if he really got popped, he hasn't really been.
Was kind of like he got thrown down on the back of his head.
And I'm more so talking about a constant getting hit, put on the grass.
You're talking about shots to his torso in the pocket,
he's just really getting hit hard. Even if it's not sacks, he's just getting freaking hit hard. Yeah.
Let's see what else. Nationals signed Javier Candelario, the third baseman. He gets a 1-year deal, $5 million. What else? Oh, college football. Georgia, Michigan, TCU, and USC are all poised to make the college football playoff if they win their championship games this weekend. What do you guys think? Georgia, there was no change at the top. Georgia's 12-0. They remain number 1. Michigan, of course, after beating Ohio State, Michigan's 12-0. They jumped 1 spot to number 2. TCU, who's 12-0, stayed at number 3. And then SC, who's 11-1, made their first appearance in the top 4 after the Buckeyes lost and LSU was beaten by my A&M Aggies. Interesting. That was the team that's really good to me. I saw TCU last week. I took TCU against
2.5 this week against K-State. I've already bet it.
Okay, wait. I've got a fire ass parlay. Is the problem? It's a really good hedge. It's similar to my betting against the U.S. and betting on.
You bet.
You bet on that. Yeah, here's our communist.
Yeah, I pay for my wins. I'm sorry. I'm not ashamed of it, but still, okay. I have.
Danny called me with that message today that you're a commie.
Wait, I have a Texas. I'm Heineke. I had a Texas A&M, like they were like plus 300. I had Texas A&M parlayed with Michigan. Michigan was like plus 280, and then the Dolphins at like plus 190. When back the look ahead line back when it was like plus 5.5. Now it's plus 4. So some good value, and I kind of wouldn't mind if the Dolphins won.
Hey, speaking of football, NFL. Do they not know how to market their sport sometimes? Like, you got a chance to flex game against
I think
Tampa.
there's a limit, dude. I think that you have to do it like 2 weeks before or something.
Well, today was the deadline for flexing Tampa. They decided to do the Chargers and
Dolphins.
Dolphins, yeah. When you could have, I mean, that might be a good game.
No,
but you could have had Brady and Garoppolo.
They couldn't, though.
You could have had Brady and Garoppolo.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, seriously. Jimmy deserved that this year. He deserved to go up against him in prime time.
Imagine the primetime matchup with, Garoppolo and Jimmy going together. That would be their first time they played each other, right?
Oh, could you imagine the discourse if Jimmy like turned into a pumpkin again and had like 3 picks going against Brady?
Brady's going to win that game. I understand. I think that's the game the Niners lose.
Hey, if the Niners beat Tampa and Jimmy looks really good and Brady has some struggles against the Niner defense, I would say the aura of Brady. This is the we're seeing.
Oh, are you saying
this might
this
be
is
Brady's
official?
last appearance in the Bay Area?
Wait, guys!
Comes to the Niners next year.
Is this like official? Like Brady is dead? Brady will not win a Super Bowl if Jimmy G just like,
I'm saying that
dominates?
He's 45. There is a point in time.
Yeah, I know. So are you saying? Are you asking like?
He's only got 5 years left.
Should we be asking the question like, is that the actual ending? That's the signal of the apocalypse.
If he looks bad and the Niners make him look silly and Jimmy plays a great game, the narrative will be that it looks like the end is here.
Is Belichick greater than Brady?
Tampa couldn't even beat the Browns last week.
Oh, I know. We're all dying to give them the credit to that they can that they're battle proven and battle tested, and
they can't stop the run. They can't stop the run. Nick Chubb gashed him for almost 5 yards a pop.
We all fell in love with Todd Bowles as a defensive coordinator, but it turns out being a head coach is a little bit of a different job. Yeah. And Bruce Arians is a pretty damn good coach.
Yeah. I'll say this about Brady. I don't think it's the end because I think next year, if he gets with the right team, and it could be the Niners.
No, I agree.
I think this year, with everything he's going through personally and just everything that happened with the team, with his personal life.
He probably feels icky. Would you, if you were Tom Brady?
He's not. I don't think Tom is elated this year.
Wait, Dan, if you were Tom Brady and you had the perfect career, like the most perfect career, other than maybe like Michael Jordan or Joe Montana, like just freaking perfect ass career, and everybody agrees you're the GOAT, and then all of a sudden you like get divorced in a very public way and kind of turn into a little bit of a weirdo.
She's already moved on to somebody else.
Yeah. You're getting dunked on by TMZ, and like all of a sudden your team's you're not playing well, and you don't know what to do, and like I think he wants to. He doesn't want to be. He wants to be playing football. He doesn't want to be alone with his own thoughts.
No,
he doesn't want to be.
And that's what I'm saying. This year,
like,
it's tough. I mean, he's dealing with stuff that
he needs to go out on a good note, I think.
Yeah. And he needs to. Supposedly, there's some talk about him and Paige Spironic getting together.
Who?
No way.
Who's Paige Sporonic?
Paige Sporonic is like she's the OG golf
Put her
chick
picture
with
up.
the giant boobs.
Why don't you show a photo?
Go ahead, Rye.
All right. I mean, I don't know if we want to make everyone all horny this late in the night,
internet magic.
but I will.
Here we go.
Paige Sporonic. Yeah, she said she would love to go out with Tom Brady.
Oh, she's awesome.
She was a former LPGA golfer.
Was she really? Yeah. So she's like, you like kind of admire that she's good at the game, but also you admire her big old melons.
Nice.
I can really turn a
Take me off
phrase.
the center. I don't want to be in the center on this.
Yeah, Dan Coach Emilio, ladies and gentlemen.
Look at those melons. No, she's proud of it though. Her profile picture is like her holding like two
She looks like a
golf
golfer.
balls. What?
She looks like a really great golfer.
Oh, she's a phenomenal golfer. Look at that. Look at that flexibility.
She's a tremendous golfer.
She's a tremendous golfer.
Heart
Look
rate.
at-
She has great form. Yes.
I don't. Yeah, but supposedly there is, some.
Oh wow, she was linked to Ronaldo. Oh, compares male female athletes being over sexualized. Well, she does have a profile picture holding golf balls where her nipples would be in a very suggestive manner. So I don't think she's allowed to say anything.
There you go. All right. Hey, good stuff. Good. Let's bolt for
Look
the
at
door.
this.
It's
This
midnight.
is her official Twitter photo.
She seems very talented.
I mean, she's an athlete. She's an ambassador.
I really would love to study that swing.
Look at that. She's even giving advice, or she's like talking about what our favorite sports are. Wow. What a
Look at
good
this one. Niner MMA 86. Saw the old Gary and Larry clip where Gary was accused of ogling Kron's lady, and Larry and Kate commented.
Look at that bounce. That's some good, healthy bounce of an athlete.
All right. Put it away, kid. Put it away.
Yeah.
Put it away.
27 and in heat.
You guys got a final thought before we let's play our way out with Frank's song.
Yeah, let's do it.
That was incredible. I thought that was
That was a moment.
Spectacular.
He's gonna be so proud when he goes back and rewatches to the end. That's he's gonna be like, what a show.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
That
So
was crazy. You got a final thought, Danny? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm still thinking the Giants are going to do something within the week. I mean, with a week from now. Today's what, Tuesday? So the winter meeting starts Sunday. I still think the Judge is coming home.
Really, you do?
I'm sticking with it. I'm going to stick with it. I know it's a long. The
Giants just strike me as Mitch Haniger on an overpay.
Absolutely. Hey, can you guys hold on just a sec? I'm downloading it as
Here we go.
a
Hey,
song.
Spider 8. Here's how Giants fans actually feel. The Giants are doing nothing.
Oh man.
Somebody says Sunday dinner with a Judge signing. Mark Graves.
Ramos, put it away.
Yeah, seriously. Ramos, you don't want that on your server.
Although he
All
could
right.
be just looking for tips. Okay. all
Carlo
right.
P. Dan's optimism keeps me going every day.
Oh, I know.
Hey, I just believe that this
The
ownership.
children are our future.
Hey, John Shea put out an article or a tweet tonight about
Did he?
Judge. Yeah.
What is it?
Let me find it here.
You see how see how I created urgency there?
Yeah,
He
did
did?
it?
What?
This is-
Yeah, wow. I just got pretty stressed. Now I'm
You
exhilarated.
put out a tweet? What?
I got to find it. John Shea.
That high pitched. It's kind of the equivalent of the high eyebrow, which I use a lot. Like if you're trying to show interest.
Wait,
like
Larry,
somebody's
you
making a point.
Larry,
Somebody's
you
making
should-
a point, and you just instead of just going like this, you're like
Here it is.
Wait, Dan. Before you
high
say
eyebrow.
Before you say anything, Larry, you should tweet out just some like absolute hacky like reporter shit that's like just used for clout. Like you should just tweet out like my sources tell me that Aaron Judge is speaking to the Giants. No further news is known, or like something like something that's super general that just obviously he's doing, and then just try and take
sources
credit
tell
for
me
it.
that Aaron Judge is considering the Giants' offer.
Here's John Shea's quote.
I'd retweet it.
The quote is,
because then you can take a massive victory lap if they sign him and just be like, yeah, what can I say? I'm plugged in. We got a guy at the winter meeting.
This is somebody else tweeting a quote from John Shea. Ownership wants this guy, Aaron Judge, badly. Not just to win games, but to sell tickets. Attendance was disappointing in 22, despite the Giants coming off a 107-win season, and the owners realized big names sell. John Shea of the San Francisco Chronicle.
See, that's what I'm saying. Is like Larry could just write that exact same thing. How is that a report? We didn't learn one thing. We just learned some context around it a little bit that the owners are, but like, how could the owners not be interested?
Well, this is why I believe they don't want to lose, and I think their offer is going to surprise people.
It sounds like it worries me because it makes it sound like somebody wanted that out there. It's such a nothing burger that it makes me think like the ownership put that out so that
John Shea did put something out 6 hours
they tried
ago
their
on
hardest.
Twitter. The article from the Chronicle, 10 players of the Giants, the case for and a case against.
Is this just opinion?
Aaron Judge, the case for. That's what I just read you, the quote. The case against, not much here except the fear of a bad contract in its final years. Judge turns 31 in April, and he could command more than $300 million. Okay, Trey Turner, Carlos Rodon, Brandon Nemo, Carlos Correa, Cody Bellinger, Bogarts, DeGrom.
There's no new Aaron Judge news. How can we still somehow write about it in a somewhat credible way?
Yeah, it looks like you could put Judge will be making a decision soon. My sources tell me.
Judge will be urinating at some point today.
My prediction is they'll sign Carlos Correa before Judge.
Sources.
And
My
then
prediction.
trade Marco Luciano for.
He should tweet. Sources, my gut. They're going to sign.
Wouldn't it? The Giants need to do something, in my opinion, to shock baseball and the Bay Area.
Just
and that's
shock everyone.
Judge and Correa, like within a day apart.
If the Giants sign Judge and Correa, what would you do? Could you do a freestyle rap at that point?
Oh yeah, I probably could do a freestyle rap, and I could. I think the Giants' phones would just be ringing off the hook if they did that.
You know, it would be freaking sweet if I was baseball.
Eric L says the Giants are in talks with Correa.
Yeah. Sources.
My sources tell me they're talking with Brandon Nemo's camp too.
Think about how sweet this would be. This would actually bring some juice to the ballpark if the Giants got Aaron Judge as this whole Barry Bonds thing's going on, and then all of a sudden Aaron Judge comes out and he's like, I watched Barry Bonds as a child. Like, he's like one of the greatest baseball players, if not the greatest baseball player of all time. Like, I acknowledge that it's not my home run record, it's his. He deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. And like, he's doing all that kind of talk, and that would just ingratiate him with the fans so quickly. And then maybe Barry gets in, and then it's just some good vibes.
Wait, hold on a second.
That'd be sweet.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. There was a Bleacher Report article, I think, earlier today saying that, kind of characterizing it.
Oh, anonymous.
Get your Zycam.
Wait. What if we were just early? I didn't know that they had to do it on Sunday. The votes. The vote is on Sunday. What if they're waiting to announce until that day?
What's the vote for Bonds?
Yeah, if they think he's going to get in,
waiting to announce what?
Steal the spotlight, announce the Judge deal.
Man, I'm just having a sneeze fest over here.
Out
of nowhere, I just started sneezing like a madman.
To what? To
announce the signing of Aaron Judge on the day that Barry Bonds gets in the Hall of Fame.
Well, that wouldn't be. They wouldn't do that
because they want to space them out.
Oh yeah, you don't want to split those stories up. You want to control the. You want to have
Aaron Judge's representatives are not having him tied to some steroid news. I mean, come on. I mean, that's just like, what's next? The Browns are going to sign somebody the same day that they play Deshaun, and hey,
what do you think about Deshaun this Sunday? Do you think he has an incredible game or just a crappy game?
Oh, I think he's going to be horrible.
They're not a real good team,
the Browns, but the Texans are awful.
I bet the Texans beat him.
I mean, do you think he's going to get
Money line
resoundingly
parlay.
booed, or do you think he's going to get a mix?
Probably a mix.
Larry, you're muted.
I think the Browns will just cheer him just because he's theirs.
But it's at Houston. It's at Houston.
Yeah, it's at
it?
Houston.
Oh, well, the Houston fans, of course, are going to boo.
Now, listen, you know how we talk about these, what the heck you call them? My mind's drawing a blank. Conspiracy theories. The NFL looks at the schedule, and everybody said Deshaun's getting a 12-game suspension, right? And
yeah,
didn't he get an 11? Or have they played 12? The Browns.
I don't know.
It was 13. Didn't he get 13?
Too late to do math.
What's the Browns' record?
I don't know. Hey, let's play Frank's song and let's bolt for the door.
Anyway, they're playing him. His first game back at Houston. I don't know. Giants' first game next year.
Little Frank Red from earlier today.
Yeah.
You miss your shot at life. You think there's nothing else for you to do. This ain't a tragedy, son. I know I've seen a few.
We need a music video.
You're not responsible for somebody else's thrill.
Maybe the music video is just us.
Your integrity's intact and you're still trying to climb the hill. I was a lonely man. I never thought it would come true. But sometimes in life, all you have are your dreams and you. That's when you realize that life ain't standing still. And all you can do is bow your head and accept God's will. But it's funny how it makes you feel.
The thing is,
I said it's funny how it makes you feel. I said it's funny how it makes you feel. Life is but a thrill.
Come on, Larry, background noise.
He have no time for small talk. He didn't mince words, just sum the lyrics to the best song he ever heard. All his hopes and dreams had turned to despair. But what he was facing, there was no way to prepare. This came from a man who thought his life was ending. In his mind, it was serious. There was no pretending. He checked the clock on the wall before he said his goodbyes. Emitting tears, he has gone. See back into his eyes. He was old in life. There'll be no encore. He raised his hands to the heavens, put his knees on the floor. Don't have to be a genius to know he'd been blessed. He said he'd pay it forward and always do his best. At that moment, what he's been searching for became clear. He was here to serve those who living in fear. With his newfound enlightenment in the wind at his back, he's prepared to live out his life's final act. He was a rich man now. He had purpose in life. And to capture this feeling, you don't pay a price. Before he set up on his own, he made a pledge to get some wins and live his life against the grain to the bitter end. You miss your shot at life. You think there's nothing else for you to do. This ain't a tragedy, son. I know I've seen a few. You're not responsible for somebody else's thrill. Your integrity's intact and you're still trying to climb the hill. I was a lonely man. I never thought it would come true. But sometimes in life, all you have are your dreams and you. That's when you realize that life ain't standing still. And all you can do is bow your head and accept God's will. But it's funny how it makes you feel. I said it's funny how it makes you feel. shot at life, you think there's nothing else for you to do. This ain't a tragedy, son. I know I've seen a few. You're not responsible for somebody else's thrill. Your integrity's intact and you're still trying to climb the hill. I was a lonely man, I never thought it would come true. But sometimes in life, all you have are your dreams and you. That's when you realize that life ain't standing still. And all you can do is bow your head and accept God's will. But it's funny how it makes you feel. I said it's funny how it makes you feel. I said it's funny how it makes you feel. Life is but a thrill. He had no time for small talk, he didn't mince words, just summed the lyrics to the best song he ever heard. All his hopes and dreams had turned to despair, but what he was facing, there was no way to prepare. This came from a man who thought his life was ending. In his mind, it was serious, there was no pretending. He checked the clock on the wall before he said his goodbyes. Emitting tears, he has gone, see back into his eyes. He was old in life, there'll be no encore. He raised his hands to the heavens, put his knees on the floor. Don't have to be a genius to know he'd been blessed. He said he'd pay it forward and always do his best. At that moment, what he's been searching for became clear. He was here to serve those who living in fear. With his newfound enlightenment in the wind at his back, he's prepared to live out his life's final act. He was a rich man now, he had purpose in life. And to capture this feeling, you don't pay a price. Before we set up on his own, he made a pledge to get some wins and live his life against the grain to the bitter end. You miss a shot at life, you think there's nothing else for you to do. This ain't a tragedy, son. I know I've seen a few. You're not responsible for somebody else's thrill. Your integrity's intact and you're still trying to climb the hill. I was a lonely man, I never thought it would come true. But sometimes in life, all you have are your dreams and you. That's when you realize that life ain't standing still. And all you can do is bow your head and accept God's will. But it's funny how it makes you feel.